Yeah, but at 19 with the Vauxhall Viva, I was a bag magnet.
I'm Mike Graham, he's Mike Parry. You're listening to the Two Mikes on the warm-up. And after a thrilling win by the British and Irish Lions, Porky's been celebrated by going on a supermarket shopping trip. He's bought some butter, some sausages, one yoghurt and a bit of salad. We'll be finding out exactly what he's going to do with it all. And the other big question of the day, of course, is about Ronaldo. Does he really want to leave Real Madrid for Paris Saint-Germain? Does he really want to stop paying his taxes in Spain? Is he really going to sulk to that extent? 08717 22 3344. We'll also be celebrating Father's Day a day early and having a look at England's most expensive goalkeeper, Jason Pickford, as Porky calls him. And we'll have a 1 minute moan as well. You're listening to the Two Mikes with me, Mike Graham, and Mike Parry on Talk Sport. This is Talk Sport. We are the Two Mikes. This is, of course, the warm-up, and I'm delighted to say it's time to say a very, very good morning in this very, very hot weather to Mr. Mike, a Porky, a Parry. Very good morning to Mr. Parry.
And a very good morning to you, Mike. And you're absolutely right. It's very hot, and I'm struggling because, of course, as only 1/3 of my heart works, I find it harder to breathe in this sort of humidity than you do.
You must be thankful to be in such a nice, cool studio.
Well, then. I'm delighted with a nice, cool studio. Yeah. By the way, anybody who knows anything about the southeast of England will know that Clapham Junction to Waterloo Station normally takes about 7 minutes.
Yes, or sometimes even less.
Yeah, even less. So it could take 4 minutes or 5 minutes or 7 minutes. Why did it take 29 minutes on my train this morning?
29 minutes?
In a blisteringly hot carriage full of people, you know, who have to go about their daily lives, including me, stuck on a train like that, sapping the energy out of me. What?
Why don't you just get off at Clapham Junction?
I got off at Clapham Junction on the train up from Stockbroker Belt, Surrey.
Yes.
And then I changed trains for the last leg of the journey into Waterloo Station.
I see.
Walking distance to Talk Sport
Why didn't
Towers.
you stay on the other train and you could have got to Victoria and then come around on the tube?
Because you blithering idiot, I didn't know that when I got on the second train, the first announcement would be, it's going to take a bit longer to get to Waterloo today.
Well, you've got to do a bit of research.
Because of engineering works.
You see, you must always research.
Red lights.
You must always research your journey. See, I'm having to do that because I'm going to go to a place called Lydd a little bit later on.
Now, Lydd is, there's an airport there where Paul McCartney used to fly in and out of when he was touring around Europe from his home in Rye.
Sir Paul McCartney, I think you'll find.
Sir Paul McCartney, Companion of Honour. He's been upgraded in the New Year's Honours list.
I don't know what that means.
I don't either, but it's good.
We'll find out if we can. Maybe we should get some heraldry expert on. Does it mean he can have his own Herald X sign now or something?
Probably, yeah.
His own shield.
Yeah, I would think so,
But you see, I've already worked out, because of our fantastic travel reports on the TalkSport radio station, that the A20 is closed and the M20 has got an awful lot of delays on it. So I will be going around the M20, thereby avoiding the delays.
Circumnavigating,
intelligent people make sure they know what the situation is.
Well, yeah, but these engineering works, they only just started about an hour before I got on the train.
Really?
It's a conspiracy, but it's very hot. I struggle, but I get through.
I'm surprised you're not wearing shorts today.
Well, I thought about it, but, shorts are not always the right thing to wear, not if you want to be taken seriously as a broadcaster, okay?
Yeah, is that what you
now,
want to be? Now,
what are you taking the Mickey?
You want to be taken seriously as a broadcaster, do you? It's a bit late for that, isn't it?
I'll ignore that. Now, what is the problem with me getting my day so well organised that I'm shopping minutes after the supermarket opens at 6 a.m? What's your problem with that?
There's nothing particularly wrong with it. It's slightly
so I put you to shame because you were still in your pit.
Slightly odd behaviour to be going to a supermarket at 6:30 in the morning.
What's odd about that?
Well, there's something very odd about it.
No, it's not. I sometimes shop at 4:30 in the morning at a 24-hour supermarket.
Well, that's even odder.
No, it's not.
Well, let's see what you put out, right?
It's me utilising my day.
You put out a tweet in which it said that you were smarter than the average bear.
Yeah.
Because basically you can make a big shop. It's like having the M25 to yourself at rush hour.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
However, you've got a very small trolley. And it only appears
I've got a trolley that was pushing around.
It's a small trolley. It's not one of the deep trolleys.
No, not one of the deep ones.
Trolleys, right?
No, yeah.
And all we can see in there is, for some reason, some Kerrygold butter in a block.
I like that.
But underneath that, some more butter.
Yes.
Of the spreadable variety.
Well, they're for my bacon butties.
From Lurpak. So you buy 2 lots of butter.
Yes, that's right.
You buy 1 very small skimmed milk.
No, that's just a pint of milk.
Yeah, I thought you bought the blue kind. I thought you said you drank full
I already
milk.
have blue at home. I was getting myself a semi-skimmed.
OK, you seem to have some kind of package of Richmond sausages.
Yes, I love them. Skinless.
The world's worst and most unhealthy sausages.
No, skinless. They're beautiful.
Made from chemically and mechanically recovered pork.
No, not at all.
From the walls of the abattoir.
No, not at all.
You've also got, let's see, some other... you've got 1 yoghurt.
Yeah, that's right.
1.
Well, that yoghurt is to spread over my grapes when I have
spread over your grapes?
Yeah, when I have some grapes after dinner this evening.
Oh, did you buy grapes as well?
No, grapes are already at home. Grapes are already at home.
Also, you've done it in a very sort of... OCD manner, haven't you? You've got all of the things like pressed up against one end of the trolley.
Well, that's because more stuff has to go in the trolley.
So
what else
did you buy that we can't see?
Well, you said salad. It's not salad.
It's
broccoli, cauliflower, peas and carrots in,
what's this thing
grab bags.
What's this thing with dinner mint?
What?
What's this dinner mint thing? Oh, that's a Muller yoghurt, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a Muller yoghurt,
so it's a mint-flavoured yoghurt?
Yes, that's right, yeah.
Mint-flavoured?
Yes, mint-flavoured, yeah.
Why do you get mint-flavoured
But
yoghurt?
not mint as in, mint that you put on lamb. It's mint as in chocolate mint.
Chocolate mint?
Yes.
Well, it's the same flavour, isn't it?
Little chips of mint.
Well, where do you think mint comes from?
Well, it comes from the mint tree. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
There's a mint plant,
Yeah,
actually.
the mint plant, that's right.
Yeah, we used to grow it in the garden.
Yeah, funny enough, that's the one thing that my mum used to grow in the bottom of our garden, mint.
Yeah.
Used to go and chop it down and have it on a Sunday with roast lamb. Lovely.
It down?
Yeah,
what sort of size was it?
Well, no, I mean, she used to cut it with a sort of garden shears,
Well, I mean, you cut it with scissors, actually.
Yeah,
it's a very small plant.
That's exactly what I'm saying, yeah.
Anyway, so that's how your day started.
Yes.
So what else did you buy that we haven't seen? I also noticed that you're in the wine aisle.
Well, yes, that was just by coincidence.
Was it?
I didn't buy any wine.
Didn't you?
No, I can't drink wine in this sort of weather, honestly. Today I may have, sometime late evening, a couple of pints of lager and lime, which is very refreshing in this weather, or even a cider.
Evening?
Even a cider,
So we finish work at 2 o'clock.
Yes.
You're going to tell me, and you expect everyone out there to believe that you will not have a glass of beer between 2 o'clock and 7 o'clock at night.
Well, I might pop into the pub next door to Talksport Towers after the show, just for a quick refresher, because I will be dehydrated by then.
You will be, yeah.
Yes.
Well, feel free to drink as much water as you like.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Anyway, now let's talk about Ronaldo, because
Yep.
he is the man of the moment, really, isn't he?
Amazing.
Although,
It's an
I'd have
amazing
to say,
story.
Before we talk about him, I should just congratulate my beloved Scotland for moving up to 4th in the world rankings of rugby union, having just beaten Australia.
Okay.
In Australia.
Okay, don't you think...
You were aware of that, right?
Oh, of course I was aware of that, yeah.
Absolutely extraordinary
Do you
result.
not think we should also be congratulating Jordan Pickford, Britain's
Do you mean
most...
Jason Pickford?
I mean Jordan Pickford.
You called him Jason last night.
It was a slip of the initials of his name, that was all.
Yeah,
don't worry about
you put
that.
it out as a tweet.
I did,
Jason
yeah,
Pickford.
I know, yeah. Well, fortunately, Steve Stammers, who was on the ball, who always is, the Fleet Street veteran...
Yeah. Sure, it was Tim Stammers.
No, indicated to me very, very quickly that it's come out, the interpretive text has come out as Jason, not Jordan.
Uh-huh.
So
you're saying it changed it from Jordan to Jason?
I don't know how it happened. But anyway, everybody knows it's Jordan Pickford.
Jordan Cundy have to say about
Everybody knows he's the new £30 million goalkeeper for Everton, Britain's most expensive, third most expensive in the world, who kept England in the under-21 tournament last night by making a save from a penalty,
Pretty
which is
poor
brilliant.
result, though, wasn't it?
Well, it wasn't a great result, but it was a great save, and he saved a point there, which was brilliant.
Yeah.
So we're very pleased about that.
They've got to finish top of the group, though, if they want to make it into the semi-final.
Well, or
second best.
Yeah, exactly. It's top in 3 groups, and the second best of the 3 groups.
What?
You either finish top of your 3 groups, or you're the best second place finisher.
Yes, thank you. That's a bit more.
Okay.
That makes a bit more
sense. And do you know what I didn't really know? But I do know
there's
now.
a lot you don't really know.
Yeah, well, that's true.
Where do you want to start?
But old Jordan Pickford, I didn't realise that he was a life.
Jason. Jason.
We'll call him Jordan because that's his name.
Yeah.
Jordan Pickford is a born and bred Sunderland boy.
Is he?
Yeah, aye. And I've seen a picture of him when he was 9. Why aye?
Right.
As a sort of mascot at Sunderland, something like that. So he's still got that.
So he's been associated with Sunderland for all his life.
Aye, he's still got the Macam accent.
Well, he's made him a lot of money. I mean, he should be a hero in Sunderland because he's made him about 30-odd million quid, hasn't he?
Well, he's the richest man, isn't he, in Sunderland probably now, except he's moving to Merseyside.
No, he's
obviously.
not in Sunderland anymore.
No, that's what I said, except he's moving. Yeah. Now, what a turn-up for the golf, eh? First, 1, 2 and 3, the girls' golfers...
What are we talking about the golf for?
Well, because we're talking about... we should be talking about...
We're talking about Ronaldo.
Let's talk about
Scotland.
Ronaldo. Yep, OK.
Scotland winning in Australia is massive, by the way.
OK, you've said that now.
All right.
Can we
Do you know
move on?
they're 4th in the world rankings?
Oh, blimey, yeah. Well, there's only 7 teams play. There's only 7 nations play
How do you think they
rugby.
managed to have a World Cup?
Well, there's 10 then, OK, so they're nearly halfway down. Now then...
What?
Hey?
What do you mean they're nearly halfway? They're 4th in the world. It's for Scotland, a tiny country of 5 million people. Yeah. It's an amazing result.
Wales, which is about the same size,
smaller actually,
has often been number 1 rugby nation
in Wales. That is the national game of Wales is rugby.
Yes.
Not in Scotland.
No. What's the national game?
Hurling.
Don't be ridiculous. Now then, come on, let's get on to the old...
curling, actually.
Yes, let's get on to the old...
There's no
Ronaldo.
time now. Look at the time.
See, you've wasted so much time rambling on.
I want to hear from people, though, because
So do I.
You know, Ronaldo could come back to the Premier League.
You could.
But you think he wants to go to France, don't you?
Well, I think if he's going to go anyway, he's going to go to PSG, and I think he wants one last great challenge, because he always loves challenges. He loves the challenge of international football and becomes a victor. He loves the challenge of club football.
Yeah.
He becomes a victor. He loves the challenge of individualism. He becomes a victor. You know, the World Player of the Year. I think he will want to go to one more club and take PSG from being average to being European champs and have a statue erected of himself outside the Stade de France.
Do you not think he's being a bit of a sort of a big girl's blouse,
No.
a bit of a diva, going, oh, you people have insulted me because you asked me to pay some tax? Talk Sport, we are the two mics. We're going to go to the calls in a moment. The question is, will Ronaldo come back to the Premier League? And do Manchester United fans actually want him back?
Yes.
08717 223344. I remember a while ago when Sir Alex Ferguson was still the manager of Manchester United, Ronaldo saying that he would never return to the Premier League for any team other than Manchester United.
That's right.
As long as Sir Alex Ferguson was still there.
That's right.
Now that Sir Alex Ferguson is no longer there, I presume there's nothing to stop him going to Manchester City.
Well, exactly.
There's nothing to stop him going to Chelsea.
Exactly.
And we'll talk about them later as well, because the Costa Conte scenario is going a bit mad. A couple of quick tweets for you, though. Tom says, I always wondered which planks buy pre-chopped and prepared veg ready to go. #lazy.
No, it's not. No, it's a most efficient way of doing it. You don't waste any of the.
It's a lot more expensive, by the way.
Well, okay, that's all right. I have to pay the price for that.
You can afford it, of course. Gail says, Mike's, when are you coming to Dubai or Abu Dhabi for a photo shoot and a camel ride?
A photo shoot and a camel ride?
Yeah.
Why would I want a camel ride in Abu Dhabi?
Well, I don't know. Here's one from Dan. He says, why has Parry bought some salad? Has he got a rabbit?
No, it's not salad. I've just explained. It is broccoli, cauliflower, carrots and peas.
Really?
Yes.
All in one big bag?
No, in two separate bags.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
James says this, Porky doesn't buy his own wine. He'd rather overpay some hapless minicab driver to expedite said task whilst on a late-night pizza run.
Well, maybe. That's a way of doing it. You know, what you have to do is keep the economy moving and keep the, the wheels of industry oiled, and you do that by trickle-down economics.
Indeed. Pete says this, wasn't Porky a rugby correspondent for a well-known journal? Very dismissive attitude. Massive achievement for Scotland. People had
a well-known journal.
Well, no, you were the Talk Sports rugby correspondent.
I was,
yeah.
World Cup 2003.
Yes, that's right.
Or 7.
What?
It's one of them. No, it was 2007. It was 2007, that's right.
In France?
Yes, in France.
With your mate, what's his name?
Mate Dave.
Dave, yeah.
Yeah.
David Campese.
David Campese, that's him, yeah.
Let's talk to Olu, who's a Man United fan. Olu, a very good morning to you.
Good morning.
What would you like to say, Olu?
Well, first of all, I wonder how you, Mike and Mike, I wonder how you get up with all this battering on the radio. Anyway, back to the issue of Ronaldo.
Yes.
I don't see Ronaldo coming back to the Premiership.
Why not?
Firstly, he cannot come back. He won't come back to Manchester United. Secondly, like he said, he won't play for any other Premiership club, and I don't think he will go to Manchester City. The Manchester people will have a lot to say about that. And then I don't go to Chelsea either, because I don't really see Ronaldo and Chelsea. I don't see them as a perfect match.
But Chelsea and Manchester City are like the only two clubs that could afford to pay him, aren't they?
Well, they can afford to pay him, but it's not only about paying him, knowing Ronaldo for who he is, see him whining about taxes in because the tax man that has nothing to do with his club. He's saying, oh, come and pay some taxes. He's whining. So I don't see him sitting in Chelsea especially. And Pep is not that kind of person that takes rubbish from anybody. So I don't also see him sitting in Man City. And besides, if he's complaining about taxes in Spain, and Spain is an offshore country where the taxes are not that heavy compared to the UK, what will he be doing when he's earning such amount of money and everything is going on taxes in the UK? So I don't really see him coming back. To the Premiership.
Well, Ola, you may well be right. I think you're probably right. I mean, other players like David Beckham always said if I came back into the Premier League, it would only be with Manchester United.
Yeah.
But Manchester United shouldn't be a club that take players who just suddenly nominate they want to go there, should they?
No.
But Manchester United take players that are going to build their future.
But if Cristiano Ronaldo said, I'd like to come back and play at Manchester United, they'd have to say yes, surely.
Of course they would.
I mean, he's not just any old player.
Of course they would.
He is Cristiano Ronaldo.
The same Cristiano Ronaldo has been People have said that he doesn't want to come back to play for Manchester United.
Yeah.
He has been quoted as saying he doesn't want to come back to play for Manchester United.
Yes.
Yeah, but people say things, Olu, and then they reverse them.
I don't want anybody in my club that doesn't want to play for the club. They should sit down where they are, no matter how good they are.
Yeah, I think he'll probably, if he goes anywhere, and I don't think he will, I think he'll go to PSG. But do you know what I thought?
What, you mean you think this is just a massive ruse? Olu, thank you very much for your call. We'll take some more calls in a moment. 08717 223344. Surely, if you're a Man United fan, you would be begging Ronaldo to come back.
Yes, you would. I totally agree, because he's such a unique player. He's the best player in the world. But my immediate instincts when I saw the row flare up, because of the way footballers' agents work, were I wonder if they're just, contemplating whether Real Madrid should have to pay this tax bill rather than them. You see what I mean?
Yes, indeed. Well, this is a bit like, is it not, the Lionel Messi case, where it's not taxes that he has, for some reason, not paid.
No.
It's taxes that are supposedly owed on image rights and stuff which may not have been properly scheduled as a tax-paying, mechanism in the first place.
The image rights issue has been controversial from the start.
Yeah.
Image rights are not subject to the same focus from the taxman as earned income is.
No, exactly. But I think what's happened is the tax authorities in all sorts of countries have gone, this is a big source of income for us. How come we're not taxing it?
Yes, that's right.
Let's go after it.
That's right. I agree. And let's just remind our audience, you got very upset about image rights one night when we were doing a show. And I got upset because you were extremely rude. I said that if TalkSport paid image rights in this company, you'd actually have to be paying them because you're so ugly.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yes, I do remember.
You got very upset about that.
I did get upset because I thought
that was a joke.
It was unnecessarily rude and obnoxious.
No, that was a joke.
Even for you.
No, it was a joke. I was trying to make out
you were very vitriolic about it, though.
Well, yeah, but I was...
And also, the thing that annoyed me the most was how pleased you were that you come up with this concept of how, because I was so ugly, I wouldn't be able to make any money.
No.
When in fact, you'd
have to pay TalkSport for the right to walk through the door with your face like it is.
Well, this is a bit like what you do, isn't it, in order to get your job back? The bottom line for you is that if you wish to enter into any kind of, slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, start hurling insults at me, I'll just ask you how many companies you own.
Perhaps you would like to ask me about how my image rights deal is going.
No, I'm just asking you how many companies you own.
They happen to be on the front of Mike Porky Parry Scratchings.
Why are you ignoring the question?
What question?
The question I've now asked you twice. I'll ask you one more time, and if you wriggle out of it one more time, that's fine, but the listeners will know that you're wriggling. How many companies do you own?
What is the relevance of that? What a stupid... I mean, I could ask you, how many, Enid Blyton books do you own? It's irrelevant to the show.
I don't know any. No, I'll give you the answer. I don't know any Enid Blyton books.
Yeah, but it's an irrelevant question.
All right, well, do tell us how your image rights are going then on the front of what, Porky Scratchings?
Yeah, brilliantly.
Really?
Sweeping the country.
I still haven't seen any money from this.
Sweeping the country.
From this massive operation of yours.
Excuse me, it's a reinvestment programme.
Oh, right.
Until we spread right across the country. Yeah.
So what do you do with the money?
Sorry?
Are you spending it down at Morrison's at 6:30 in the morning?
Listen,
on 2 pats of butter.
My business advisors sort out the image rights situation. But do you know anybody else who's who's hit it the big time and got their face on the front of a packet of pork scratchings? Because I don't.
Well, no, because not everybody is as completely and utterly self-obsessed as you are.
If
somebody came to most people and said, "Would you like your face on a packet of pork scratchings?" They'd probably say, "No, thanks."
Well, actually, my rights have been bought for that very purpose.
Really? How much do they pay for them?
Well, I'm not getting into that. I can't get into the business side of it. But just to say that my visage is so stunningly different that it was deemed appropriate.
Yeah.
Okay.
Patrick says Porky finds it hard to breathe. Maybe if he talked less and gave you a chance to talk, he'd feel a lot better.
That's a bit harsh.
Hashtag breathless plank.
I do feel a bit like that. I saw that new TV programme Riviera last night, by the way.
Oh yeah, is that any good?
Brilliant.
I do like the actress in that.
It is brilliant.
She's the girl from Bourne, isn't she?
She is. Yes.
What's her name? Julia somebody.
Don't know. Julia something. Yeah, but it's going to be fantastic.
Julia
Stiles. That's it. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Is it particularly something you can talk about or?
Well, no. I mean, look, we'll do Porky Vision again next week, and I'll talk about it then. But I mean, it's terribly glamorous, and the high rollers are all sort of plotting against each other and shooting off in their private yachts and all that. It's great. I love all that. Yeah.
I'm sure you do.
Yes.
One from Jim here. He says, "Chop down the mint tree." Where was Porky living? Chernobyl.
yeah, Chernobyl. That's right. Yeah.
This is Talk Sport.
It's a bit harsh.
Coming up at 2 o'clock, Ian Danter's going to join us with Saturday's scoreboard, which includes live updates of the US Open, of course. 2 Brits at the top of the leaderboard there. Then from 6, it's kick-off with Danny Kelly. He's joined by former Crystal Palace chairman Simon Jordan. And then tomorrow, TalkSport's got live coverage of the ICC Champions Trophy final as Pakistan face India. Now, lots more coming up, of course.
Yes.
Great one here from Derek in Pencoed,
yes.
Who sent this in regarding your imaging rights. He says, Mike, a message for Porky. He would have to pay me to buy something with his mug on it.
Oh, that's a bit harsh, isn't it?
Well, there you go.
Yeah, very. And I see old Derek's been quite busy on the keyboard this morning because the bog cleaner from Pencoeth...
Former bog cleaner.
Former bog cleaner from Pencoeth says that as I've already moaned this morning about a hot train and trains being delayed, do we need the 1 minute moan?
Well, he makes a very good point.
Well, the answer is yes, we do, because there's plenty of other issues in life that need correcting.
OK, well, we need to... we need to take some more calls as well. 08717 223344. We're talking about Ronaldo.
Yeah.
Will he actually leave Real Madrid, or is it all just a massive strop that he's having?
Sorry, do you think the audience caught the number properly?
What?
Do you think the audience caught the number properly?
Do you want to give it out in your rather slow and languid way?
It's not a slow and languid way. It is so the audience can understand. This is the number, folks. We want to hear from you on Ronaldo. We might want to hear from you on Chelsea a bit later in the show, because don't know what's going on there. But the number is 08717 22 33 44. That is the way I read it, because I do not like the mangle-mouthed delivery of the number for you to call.
Thank you very much indeed. If you'd speak that slowly all the time, we'd need about a 10-hour show.
Yeah, we would,
in order to get to the end of some of your stories.
Yes.
Anyway, fortunately, we've got a proper guest on now. Former Southampton, England under-21 midfielder David Prutton, who's going to be telling us what he made of the performance last night. David, very good morning to you.
Good morning, fellas. You okay?
Yeah.
Hi, Dave. Very well, thank you.
Very well indeed. Now, it wasn't a particularly exciting game. I mean, after all the sort of fanfare about the Korean triumph and the England under-20s team winning the World Cup over there, I suppose expectations are a bit high now, aren't they?
Well, they always are, aren't they? Going into any tournament with an England team, that goes back to, to the dawn of footballing time. But I think what age at the back of it, perhaps a lot of nervous energy was expended. I think it was a bright start. It just seemed to meander into something where we didn't get support up to Tammy Abraham, the attacking talent that we've got with the likes of Redmond and Lewis Baker. It was some really, really good players, just finding the feet a little bit quicker in a tournament, because we as a public demand them to hit the ground running, don't we, from the first game? But still 2 games to go. It's a point on the board, positives you take from it, but Aidan knows as well as anyone there's still a lot to work on.
Yeah, I don't quite understand how these things work, Dave, because we all know that, when you're at school, if you're 14 and you're a good kid, you play in the under-18s team. So how do they stop some of those very successful under-20 players who've won the World Cup from appearing in the under-21 team?
Well, I think it's not only that side of it, Mike. It's the older players that we looked at a couple yesterday that are eligible. And I mean, you're talking about really stellar European standard football, getting towards world-class football, like Dele Alli and Eric Dyer and players like that. And the example that we used yesterday was the fact that Juan Mata won the World Cup with Spain one year, they went to the under-21s the next season. Yeah. So whether it's an approach by the players, whether it's the clubs, whether it's the clubs kind of saying, well, they've had long, busy seasons, they've got 40, 50 games under the belt, they might need a rest. There's some common ground to be found, I think, but it just seems, and I was speaking to Stuart Pearce about it yesterday, and again with Eddie, it just that's a common thing. That's something they're always going to have to battle with, the perception of what we deem as football underneath the senior team.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, I totally agree. And if you've got a number of coaches all fighting for the same players, it's not a happy situation, is it?
Well, it's not, but I think from what you hear from Gareth Southgate downwards, there seems to be a real common theme. There seems to be a real common goal, which is obviously the ultimate objective is to make the senior team a World Cup winning team.
Yes, exactly.
Whatever, you know what I mean? Capable of winning proper big tournaments. And in that, there's got to be that alignment. And whether I don't think it's necessarily the politics that goes on behind the scenes, but I think every single manager, as much as it is a very club ethic, every single manager knows that they're responsible for the results of their particular setup. Right. And not saying that means that they become selfish or ruthless, but they want the best players at their disposal. And I think that quite rightly there is a debate there about who is available as and when, because if you look at, say, players that played in and around the Scotland game, did they really need to be involved in a friendly a couple of days later with several weeks to go before the season starts? But then from a club point of view, are they saying, well, it's going to be another long, hard season. It could be Champions League football. It could be FA Cup runs. It could be all kinds of title chasing challenges.
That's right.
It just seems like there is a common ground to be met, but I also think that it's understandable that each kind of fiefdom's looking after its own.
Sure, of course it is.
Now,
yeah.
David, you're out there watching the whole tournament for Sky. I mean, I know it's very early on and very early days, but I mean, is there one team
result,
that's out there that looks a lot better than everybody else? I mean, do England have a chance in this thing?
I think Spain have been labelled as favourites. I think England are bracketed into like a favourite pot because it's England. I mean, our name, which seems rather kind of backside about face, isn't it? When the only thing we've won is the Under-20s World Cup in recent history. But because we look at the individuals on show, I think there's Portugal, they've got Renato Sanchez, who one of the best players at the Euros last summer, wasn't he? Now he's in with the Portuguese Under-21s. You've got Serge Gnabry, who in the German Under-21s. Some very, very good stellar names, and the standard of players that Spain have managed to pick. I mean, Hector Bellerin's there as well. So a player that's impressed at times in the Premier League season. So everyone's got that bit of quality about them. I think Spain is the one you lead toward because of their not only how good they've been at first team level, but recent history of bringing players through has been nothing short of miraculous, has it? So It's going to be tough. It's going to be really tough. Time to address it on Monday against Slovakia, then obviously the host nation, Poland, on Thursday. But it's still, he's got to deal with the expectations of us, the expectations of his team, of the players involved, and also for himself. Let's not get it wrong. Eddie Boothwell I've played for Eddie. It was at Colchester, which must seem like a world away from looking after the Under-21. But I remember a man that was very level-headed, very pragmatic, good motivator of men, very good motivator of men. And now he used the metaphor of different colours to paint with, which, let's be honest, the palette that he's got now is wonderful. With Colchester, slightly different, but we had a good fun nonetheless. But he's got that group of players to get the best out of him, which reflects well on him in a career, a vocation that he sees as management.
Sure. Now, you were at Southampton, David, for a while. What's going on down there? What are you hearing? Because obviously Claude Puel might have had a bit of a shock when they let him go just after the fixtures were announced, because he was probably trying to work out what he was going to do for the rest of the year, right? Who do you reckon they're going to end up with?
Well, I think from what we've seen with some appointments in recent weeks, another one that springs to mind is Leeds bringing someone in quite out of left field. I think having seen the setup at Southampton with Les Reed, who does wield an awful lot of power there, and you can't say that he doesn't deserve to, because what he's done and what he's set in motion at Southampton is a hierarchy which does work. Year on year, they've had better results. Obviously, Claude Puel, you kind of take him out of that, but if you need to maintain perspective. Not so long ago, when Marcus Lieber took over and really dragged them out of the doldrums, a League One team, to finish 8th in the Premier League and kind of dismiss it as a season where you either plateaued or a bit of a failure. You know what I mean? You've still got to maintain that perspective with where you've come from. They want to rebuild and kind of reposition themselves as that solid Premier League team. But then I think now that we've seen the money involved, the players that can be attracted, the riches on offer by moving further up the leagues, getting into not only the Europa, because it wasn't much to write home about last year's campaign, but you get further up there and challenge those top 6 places, then it opens up a whole new world of first and foremost for Southampton, being able to keep hold of the best players, being able to keep hold of the best managers, because as it stands, without that extra perhaps punt or gamble of investment that pushes them up into or tries to break that top bracket, then there will be a team that gets players in, gets managers in, who use it as a bit of a springboard to get to something else. And as long as, diehard Saints fans, they wouldn't be happy with that. But I think if the option over that is get these good players in and keep us in the top 8, top 10, or don't let them come in and struggle away at the bottom end of the league for the foreseeable future, then you take the former, wouldn't you? But I think that next step, who could come in? I thought Gary Monk would have been a good shout. Obviously, he's up at Borough now. I think he would have fit that dynamic of perhaps what Les would have wanted down there. Young manager, come in, wants to prove himself. Yeah. But I think whoever gets the opportunity, from what you hear from Southampton, it's as much the manager having to impress the board and the hierarchy and the setup as it is of them trying to woo someone to bring them into the setup. I think that's quite healthy for the long-term good of the club, because you get someone who's there, who's ambitious, who wants to keep pushing them on.
I totally agree with you. Thank you very much indeed, Dave. You nailed that one.
Where is my mind? Where is my mind? Where is my mind?
This is TalkSport. We are the two mics. We've got loads coming up, of course.
Yes.
So we're going to be talking golf a little bit later on with Bar Bubka because, incredibly, Rory McIlroy and Dustin Johnson and Jason Day, the top three golfers in the world, have missed the cut.
Unbelievable.
For the weekend in the US Open. Which
Unbelievable.
Is, of course, the second big major of the year, right?
Yes.
But how about this for a bit of a row that's been going on Twitter? Steve Elkington, who you might remember won the Open here some years ago.
Did he?
An Aussie guy,
no, I don't remember, actually. But anyway, there you go.
Yeah,
that's how little remembered he is.
No, that's how little you know about golf, is what you mean.
No.
Steve Elkington is a major contributor now to all sorts of debates on golf.
Yeah, I know that.
He's a pundit all the time.
I know that.
Anyway, he sends out a tweet yesterday, right, after Rory crashes out the tournament, saying Rory's so bored playing golf. Without Tiger, the threshold is probably 4 majors with 100 million in the bank. By which he means, basically he's now got 100 million quid in the bank, and Tiger's not around anymore, so why does he have to bother?
Yeah.
McElroy comes back with more like 200 million, Steve. Not bad for a bored 28-year-old. And there's plenty more where that came from. So, I mean, he's basically giving the guy a good shoeing.
Yeah,
saying,
absolutely.
well, actually, I've got 200 million in the bank, Steve, and I'm going to make a lot more.
Yeah.
But he doesn't seem at all fazed by the fact that he's not performing.
No, he doesn't. And by the way, the lad who's up at the top of the leaderboard, right, Casey, I didn't realise he's 39. I thought he only sort of come onto the scene, but he had a terrible couple of years when he had to cop out of golf,
that was back in 2012,
That's
I think
right.
it was, about 5 years ago, when he did one of those things that we always say proper athletes shouldn't get involved in. He went snowboarding.
That's right.
He had a terrible accident,
Smashed
dislocated his shoulder. Which
shoulders are quite useful to golfers.
Well, you can't really play without your shoulders.
No.
And he was out of the game for a couple of years.
Unbelievable.
And it kind of put a spanner in the works of his kind of, climb to fame and fortune. I mean, he was still a very successful golfer.
Yes.
But he was thought to be a massive sort of prodigy in those days.
Yeah.
But anyway, there we are.
He's back.
He's back, and he's up there with young Mr. Fleetwood as well. So two English golfers right at the top of the leaderboard. We'll see how that goes a little bit later on, but we will be talking to Barbara Bubka over there in Wisconsin. First, though, it's time to talk to our favourite Sunday newspaper journalist. It's Eleanor Mills, editorial director of the Sunday Times. Eleanor, very good morning to you.
Good morning.
Thank you very much for joining us on this beautiful day, because I'm sure, I don't know whether you're working today on a Saturday, but it's a day for doing something rather nice out in the sunshine, isn't it?
Well, it is. I've been driving builders around North London trying to buy things like guttering pipes. So that's the nicest way to be spending the warmest day of the year.
Yes, shopping is definitely not a good idea. I definitely want to get somewhere near a swimming pool.
I hope you will
be
be relaxing in the back garden with a chilled glass of Pinot Grigio or something like that a bit later on, Eleanor.
Well, I will. Once I've sorted out the builders, I'm intending to have an extremely large gin and tonic and go and swim in the ladies' pond up in Hampstead.
Excellent. Now, listen, one of the headlines that has caught our eye from your magnificent publication tomorrow, exclusive interview with John McEnroe.
Yes, it's his the next chunk of his autobiography. He did the first one, which I think was called Serious, and this is kind of but seriously or something. Yep. And it's all about the years since he stopped playing tennis. So what it's like to be a commentator, and it's full of the most amazing kind of gossipy anecdotes about Venus Williams and their dad, and his run-in with Donald Trump. And what he thinks, very controversial views about a very high-profile British tennis player, which is going to cause a big story, I think, tomorrow. But also, he just comes across as a really nice bloke. He's become a bit of a national treasure. He's just brilliant about what it was like, being a kind of the punk rocker of tennis back in the day, and how he thought the Brits were really useless.
He was such an engaging character when he was a kid, for want of a better word. He turned up at Wimbledon, got to the semi-finals, I think, in his first season, and completely changed the image of the tennis player. The first time he won, I sent a reporter down to Heathrow. He was getting back on the Concorde, right, to fly back to America. And I said to this reporter, I said, get a full talk with this guy. He's so lively. Get everything out of him. So the reporter rang up from the airport. I said, right, did you get McEnroe? He said, yeah. I said, was it good? He said, not really. I said, what happened? I said, I went up to him and said, Mr. McEnroe, I'm whatever his name was from the Daily Express. And McEnroe said, and the only words he said were, go clean your teeth, kid, and walked past him and got on the plane.
Yeah. Well, I always remember the summer of the riots in 1981.
Yes.
He was the winner of Wimbledon. It just seemed sort of very apposite that here was this guy who was sticking two fingers up to authority and to the umpires and to the establishment who was actually winning it. And he was a very spoiled brat in those days, but he seems to have mellowed. And he's also one of those Americans, Eleanor, I think, who gets the English sense of humour, doesn't he?
Yeah, he did. I mean, what was really funny is he was saying that his favourite drink, the first thing he does when he comes to the UK, is get out of the car, go to an off-licence and buy 6 cans of Special Brew.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How funny.
While he was playing, he used to drink Special Brew and smoke marijuana, and he thinks that all these players who are really into their diet and fitness now are just pathetic. It's really refreshing. And then he was talking about how the Brits back in the day, because they were so appalled by how much he wanted to win.
Yeah.
And that was all because the Brits didn't really want to win. They wanted to be all kind of pucker and play cricket, but never actually win anything. He said maybe we're beginning to change our minds about that now.
Did you ever meet James Hunt? Because of course James Hunt lived down near Wimbledon, didn't he? And used to go to the tennis. They'd have made a smashing pair, wouldn't they? The two of them.
I think so.
Smoking all that dope and drinking all that Special Brew.
And of course one night he bunked off going to the winners' dinner at Wimbledon to go and hang out with the Pretenders because he sees himself as a bit of a rock star.
That's right. There's lots of pictures
about how he's waiting for the call from David Grohl to kind of go and play guitar in some rock band. I mean, he thinks he's world class at everything, McEnroe.
Yeah, well, he's world class at one thing that we know. Two possibly, because he's a great commentator now as well, isn't he?
He really is a great commentator, actually. Yeah,
he's really, really good. And he talked very fondly about Bjorn Borg, but the one who he really hates, I think, and still hates is Ivan Lendl.
Yeah.
He says that every time he goes to Paris, he gets a recurring nightmare about the big match there that he lost to Lendl. And he even says it must be like 30, 40 years ago since he did it. Yeah. And he just still can't get over having lost that match. It's really funny. It's like, come on, McEnroe, you've been so successful on so many levels, but obviously losing still is really hard for him.
Sure, absolutely right. And I mean, it couldn't get two more different-looking characters either. Now, it's Father's Day tomorrow, and you've got rather a poignant piece in the magazine.
Yeah, well, of course, A.A. Gill, Adrian Gill was one of our superstars of the Sunday Times and much loved by many people around the country for his TV reviews and his incredible restaurant reviews. And his daughter, Flora, who's in her early 20s, has written an amazing piece about being A.A. Gill's daughter, about his idiosyncrasies and what he was like. She talks about how once she was crying over her maths homework. So Adrian took the maths homework and ate it and said, you can tell your teacher that your dad ate your homework.
That's a good one.
I think it was a good one, which was pretty typical of him. But it's just very moving about what he's really like as a man and as a dad.
Does she talk about the contrast in his life before and after he started and stopped drinking?
Well, she doesn't really remember that much about.
Oh, I see. Yeah, well, that would have been a long time ago. Yeah, it would have been.
It was a long time ago. But I mean, I would recommend to everyone his memoir, which is called Pour Me, P-O-U-R Me, which is an amazing account of alcoholism and the walls coming in and the kind of hallucinations but he said his whole life changed when he had kids. That when he first saw Flora, there was a kind of before and after, and I think that was really one of the motivations for getting clean.
That's terrific, isn't it?
Great stuff.
Terrific.
Well, Eleanor, thank you so much.
Thanks,
Have a
Eleanor.
lovely enjoy the rest of the day. Don't get too caught up with the builders, and we'll catch up with you soon.
And get that gin and tonic in your hand.
Absolutely. Eleanor Mills, editorial director for the Sunday Times. Sounds like the McEnroe interview is going to be good stuff.
Doesn't it?
Jerry says this. Friday's podcast, by the way, MG, opens up with Porky appearing to call his mum Joan Paris. So is Harry his stage name, or is it yet another name mispronounced?
Not at all, not at all.
How did your mother enjoy the present you got her, by the way?
Oh, she loved it.
What did you get her?
I got her flowers.
Flowers?
Sherry. And paid...
How did you deliver all this stuff?
Oh, it was all delivered by my sisters.
So they actually bought it?
Oh, yes, they bought it and went down there.
And so then you didn't actually do anything?
What?
So you didn't do anything?
Yeah, I did, and I provided the funds for a spectacular lunch in association with my two sisters.
What do you mean you provided the funds?
Well, we...
So your two sisters went down to... Well, one of them was already in Bournemouth,
yes,
right?
That's right.
They take your mother out for lunch.
Yes.
Right, in the time-honoured tradition.
Yes.
And they paid. And they also took a present from you,
yes,
which they'd bought.
Yes.
So you did nothing?
I did. I provided the funds. I couldn't get there because, look...
How did you do that?
Well, you give somebody money and say, could you put this towards Mum's lunch?
Yeah, but when did you see your sister here to give her the money?
Well, I don't know why you're talking about such trivial nonsense,
Yeah, I just think it's despicable.
No.
Your poor mother's is 83rd
you can transfer money funds in 3 keystrokes on a keyboard, right?
From one of your many bank accounts.
No. You see, I don't know why you get into this for. You have some problem, you do, in your head. You know,
I don't have any problem.
Yes, you do. You've got lots of problems in your head. Well, how did your day go yesterday, anyway?
My
you
day
stuck
went...
in a traffic jam?
No, I didn't,
Well, I hope
actually.
you get stuck in one today.
Why do you hope I get
Just to
stuck
make
in
your
a
day
traffic jam?
miserable, all right?
Why would you like me to have a miserable day?
Yeah, because, you
See,
get on my wick.
You're such a malevolent type
No,
of person.
not at all.
You can't enjoy life without watching somebody else have a miserable time.
You've got a mission today, haven't you?
I've got to go and pick something up.
What is it?
It's a part for a swimming pool.
It's a pump.
A pump?
Yeah.
A pump, is
Yeah.
it? Right.
To pump up
It's a
the swimming
pump.
pool, isn't it?
Well, no, it's not to pump up the swimming pool.
Eh?
No, it's a pump to keep
You've
the
got
water...
a pump up swimming pool, haven't
No,
you?
it's a pump to keep the water clean, you plank.
It's not.
Do you not know what happens to water in a swimming pool? If you don't have a filter
Yeah,
pump
it
to keep it
stagnates. Of
clean,
course it does,
it
yeah.
stagnates, and
Yeah.
so you have to keep
Yeah.
it clean.
Well, who
And so-
pumps it up then?
The pump? What do you mean?
Well, how do you pump it? Do you need a separate pump to pump the swimming pool up?
No, the swimming pool is not pumped up.
It is. It's a plastic swimming pool.
No, it's not a plastic swimming pool. It is a hard-edged
Oh, I
swimming
see.
pool, right?
Yeah.
Which you erect rather than pump up.
Oh, I see. Okay,
So
yeah,
you don't
fine.
actually pump it up.
Oh, I see. Okay,
But
yeah.
it is above the ground. You can
Yeah, of
actually
course,
build
yeah.
it into a sort of wooden surround thing.
Yeah, you could, yeah.
Which I've offered to do, but my...
Yeah, you'd have to dig a pit then with your,
No,
back-breaking
no.
shovel.
No, you wouldn't, no, because what you would do is you'd set it up above ground, but it would be covered in a sort of, what you would call, it would be clad almost in wood. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you
and
mean.
Then you
Yeah,
build
yeah,
a sort
sort
of
of build,
you build
yeah.
steps up and do all
Yes,
that.
I see, yeah.
But I'm not sure if it's worth doing.
No, it's not worth doing.
You know what I mean?
Not,
Anyway.
not because you only use it for 2 months a year in this country.
Well, probably
That's the
3,
problem.
actually.
3,
Kids,
yeah.
I mean, the kids are going it. I mean, they were in it last night, and it wasn't
Right.
that warm.
No, okay.
They love it. This is rubbish.
Well,
It's one of the worst songs ever written. isn't it?
Well, it's a bit harsh to call it rubbish.
Yeah.
That's Paul McCartney's Frog Song.
Oh, yeah.
And
I think he's written better songs.
he has written better songs, but I don't think he was written in seriousness. I think he was written for his kids one Christmas or something like that, you know.
okay.
And personally, I've been listening to anything Paul McCartney wrote in a 30-second, sit down at the piano or something like that.
Oh, right.
So it's great. But the reason we played that is that Sir Paul McCartney,
Yeah.
who has actually just been enhanced with his knighthood, because I didn't realise he could do this, but he got a knighthood a few years back.
Yes.
I think it was 20 years, actually.
Uh-huh.
I think it was 20 years ago when he got his knighthood. Has now been enhanced to Companion of Honour.
Yes.
And tomorrow he's 75 years of age, so I think that's pretty good, isn't it?
It's not a bad weekend, then, is it?
No, not a bad
But what
weekend
does
at
a
all.
Companion of Honour actually entitle you to, I wonder?
I think you are becoming a member of an elite club of people who have been so highly honoured by the Queen.
Right.
You know, it's a bit like the...
Because the knighthood is
yeah.
officially called something like the Knights of the Garter or something.
Yeah,
like
Knights
that.
of the Garter or something like that.
Yeah.
And when you become a Companion of Honour, you become a senior knight.
Right.
It's just another... It's like during the war, when pilots used to get the DFC, the Distinguished Flying Cross or something like that. Well, once you've given it to them, you can't give it to them again, so it would be DFC with bar.
Right.
And another fantastic act of gallantry would get you a bar on your DFC.
Because I've got a thing here which says the Order of the Companions of Honour is an order of the Commonwealth Realms,
Yes.
founded in June 1917 by King George V.
Well, there you go.
As a reward for outstanding achievement, and is conferred upon a limited number of persons for whom this special distinction seems to be the most appropriate form of recognition.
Well, there
and
you go.
you get a little medal as well.
Absolutely, yes, so you do. Now, there's some more good news, actually,
Oh, yeah.
because a survey has been published this morning, and it's a survey of pop fans and who their favourite people would be in 4 categories.
Yeah.
Singers, bassists, guitarists and drummers.
Uh-huh.
The favourite singer is Adele,
Right.
who is obviously a very, very recent sort of addition to the rich cultural history of pop we have in this country. Second, Freddie Mercury. Third, David Bowie. Amy Winehouse, 4, and going right down to the end, 9, Annie Lennox, 10, John Lennon.
Annie Lennox, that's
Yeah,
surprising.
yeah, it is.
I mean, not that I dislike. I think Annie Lennox is a great singer.
Yes.
I'm just surprised that she makes it into a list
Yes.
that's that modern. you know?
That's right. Bassist, well, you don't have to ask. Sir Paul McCartney, number 1.
Right. What about John Entwistle?
Well, John Deacon is number 2.
Okay.
He's from Queen.
He is.
Right. Sting, number 3. I didn't realise Sting was a bass player, actually. But
Yeah, I believe so.
yeah. Some guy called Flea Number 4.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know who Flea is?
Yes, he's from the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
The Red Hot Chili Peppers, OK.
You know who they are, don't you?
Yeah, of course I know who they are.
Can you name any of their songs?
Sorry?
Could you name any of their songs? Probably not, right?
Red Hot Chili Peppers?
Yeah.
Not really.
No, okay.
No. And I have no shame in saying that.
No,
and then
neither should you.
John Entwistle, your guy from The Who, number
That's right,
7.
that's
OK.
him, yeah.
Guitarist, he's a lead guitarist.
What about Bill Wyman?
He is not mentioned.
No?
No, he's not mentioned. And he retired like 25 years ago, didn't he? I saw a picture of him the other night.
Oh, John Entwistle's dead.
Sorry?
He's still on the list.
He's still on the list, yeah. But what I'm saying is, I saw a picture of Bill
Wyman.
Bill Wyman,
Yeah.
as we used to call him. The other night, he was at some pop gathering. He's 80.
Yeah.
And
Is he?
He looks 90.
Does he?
Honestly.
Well, he's had a hard life.
His face has just collapsed like a sort of soggy bottom pudding. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I think it's a bit unkind.
It is a bit unkind when you're 80.
Yeah.
Anyway, the guitarist, number 1, Brian May.
Yeah.
Number 2, Eric Clapton. Number 3, Jimi
Brian
Hendrix.
May above Eric Clapton?
Yeah, Brian May above Eric
ridiculous.
Clapton and Jimi Hendrix. George Harrison only makes it into 6.
What about Jimmy Page?
Jimmy Page is not even in the
Jimmy
list.
Page is not in the list
not even in
of
the list.
favourite guitarists of all time.
I know, that sounds ridiculous.
Who's
doesn't it?
Who's done this list?
The list?
The Queen's fan club.
No, it's not a Queen's fan club. It's here we go. When it came to play,
It's absolute rubbish. How can Jimmy Page not be in the guitarist section?
Led Zeppelin's John Bonham is amongst the drummers.
Yeah.
The poll to find the perfect 4-piece.
Is it Robbie Williams?
Carried out. Here, hang on. Carried out by Green King, which is the brewery.
Yeah, so everybody must have been sozzled when they did fill out the form.
And Kurt Cobain makes number 10 in the guitarist list. Well, Chuck Berry's number 9.
Really?
And then we have drummers. Now, do you remember the famous question, is Ringo Starr the best drummer in the world? Ringo Starr's not even the best drummer in the Beatles.
Well, a lot of people don't remember that, but carry on.
Well, it was never said. It was something that Jasper
apocryphal.
Carrot. Jasper Carrot made it up in a show. But anyway, the top drummer in the world of all time, Phil Collins.
What?
Phil Collins.
What about Keith Moon?
Well, hang on. Number 2, Roger Taylor.
Oh, he's from Queen.
He's from Queen.
I mean, why is everyone from Queen suddenly on the list?
Don't know. Number 3, Dave Grohl. Who's Dave Grohl?
He's from the Foo Fighters. Used to be in Nirvana.
Okay. And number 4, your favourite Keith Moon.
Yes.
Number 5, Ringo Starr.
What?
Number 6, Mick Fleetwood Mac.
Right.
And then it goes down to John Bonham, number 9, and Ginger Baker, amazingly, number 10.
Ginger Baker, yes. Is he still around? Remember you talked about some
He's in
amazing
South Africa,
documentary that they did about him. Do you remember?
No, he's in Africa. He took over. He wanted to sort of ride polo ponies, and he found land was very cheap in Africa, so he went and bought a load of land there, so he could draw up all these polo pictures, which you ride around on. Then I think he had a bit of a domestic dispute with somebody. But I love the Ginger Baker story because if ever a man was self-made, it was him.
Yeah.
I've told you the famous story.
Yes,
haven't
I
I
know you have. Yeah, about the post office.
Yeah, he was.
But most of the rock stars around that time were in that kind of situation. They all had ordinary jobs. Basically, they decided to become rock stars, but they didn't know they were going to become rock stars. Yeah. They just wanted to be in a band, didn't they?
Yeah, but with Ginger Baker, it was totally different. Most of the kids, like, Lennon McCartney and Mick Jagger and Keith Richards, they had ambitions to be a rock star from the age of about 10 or 11, and, they got their mum to buy them their first guitar and how to play it and all that. Ginger Baker was simply bored with life. He was a sorting officer in a sorting office.
Yeah.
And one day he went to his boss.
You're going to tell me the story again, aren't you?
Yeah, well, I'm going because millions
You've
of our
already
listeners.
told this story before.
No. And he went to his boss and he said, I'm leaving, boss. And the boss said, you're leaving? He said, you're not fit for anything else. I gave you a job here and you walk out of me. What do you think you're good at? He says, I'm going to be a rock star.
Yeah.
You're going to be a rock star, are you?
But that's what I'm saying, because in those days, nobody knew what a rock star was.
No, that's
and
right.
they didn't realise it was going to become a massive business, an incredible industry.
That's right.
Because there wasn't one then.
No, that's right. Yeah. So his boss said, and now you're going to be a rock star. He said, I'm going to be a drummer. I'm going to become a drummer. He said, I didn't know you could play the drums. He said, I can't.
Right.
He said, but I'm going to learn how to play the drums, and then I'm going to get into a group, and I'm going to be a rock star.
And why not?
Bye-bye. And he left, and the rest is history.
Yes. Yeah. Stephen says this. There's two tweets which are of a similar nature. One is from the first one from Stephen. Porky will be inviting John McEnroe to his penthouse for bladderation after hearing that he likes special brew.
Yeah, good idea.
And then he says, I hear you two guys have been awarded a Companions in Bladderation Award.
Maybe.
Which may well be true.
Maybe.
Or may not be true.
That's right, yeah.
Now, coming up, we're going to be talking to some very interesting people, Jeff and Vicky Marshall.
Yes.
Who have travelled to all 2,563 railway stations in Great Britain.
Yes.
How many stations do you think you've been to?
What, across Britain?
Yeah.
Railway stations?
Yeah.
I bet I've been to 100.
Probably more.
Yeah, how many are there altogether?
It says here 2,563.
Yeah, I reckon I'll have been to about 100.
You have to have gotten off, though. You can't just say...
Yeah, no. You can't say you've gone through. I actually, not 100. I bet I could name 50 stations I've been to, and it's not more.
I bet it would be more than 100.
We spent most of our lives in this country driving around in cars, not getting on trains.
No, that's not true.
And if I go on a train...
I spend a lot of time on trains.
I only usually ever go to Liverpool, so that's about it, really.
Well, you get on a train every day to come here.
Yes, but that's the same journey, repeated day after day after day. It's not new borders, is it?
But there's already maybe 10 stations that you visit on the way.
Yeah, but I don't get off at them.
No, but you would do. I mean, you get off sometimes at Sutton, sometimes at Epsom.
Well, I'll tell you
sometimes at Vauxhall Bridge, sometimes at Clapham.
I'll tell you what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
I'm going to really enjoy talking to our next guest. And after that, between then and the end of the show, 90 minutes, I'm going to write down as many stations as I can remember I've been to. Okay? Before the end of the show.
Well, I can't wait for this.
Yeah, exactly.
This will be almost as exciting as your stories about the town that has the most frequently recorded name.
Whitchurch. Everybody loved that.
Except it's not true.
Everybody loved that.
No, except it's not true.
By the way, how many complaints have you had about the gerrymandering in the Porky quiz?
None at
all. The Rial is the currency of Saudi Arabia.
No, incorrect.
And you did not give it me.
No, it's not true. No, it's not true. I read
Bram
to
Stoker
you,
did land at Whitby and you didn't give it to me.
No, Bram Stoker did not land at Whitby. Bram Stoker's character, Dracula, landed at Whitby.
That's right. That's right.
That was, that was the question and the answer as provided
and King
by...
Arthur and his round table are Tintagel, and he didn't give it to me.
As provided. You said Merlin.
No, I didn't.
You did.
I didn't.
Well,
I said either or.
It's all been recorded. People can go to Facebook and look at it, right?
Yeah.
I had a series of questions and a series of answers which are printed on cards, corrected and made up by Trivial Pursuit. I did not write the questions. The questions are preordained.
But then you were fanciful and picky about what you took out when you took in.
Right. I was strict on what the answer said. That was all.
Okay. Now, you and I have been invited to a stag do, right?
You don't go to stag do.
Chris Crook has said, hi, Porky. Hi, MG. How many RTs, what's that? Retweets. Would it take for TalkSport to
Russia
give you...
Today, depending on whether you're a fan of that sort of television.
Right, yeah. Would it take for TalkSport to give you guys the weekend off so you can come on my stag do next month? Well, Chris, all I can say is we don't do stag do's, but I hope you have a great time,
Well,
pal.
you don't do stag do's.
I don't. Why would you go? Would you go?
Of course I wouldn't go. I don't know the guy.
Yeah, well, you see.
But it's wrong to say I don't do stag do's. I had one of my own.
Yes, but you've never been to one since, have you?
No, I don't believe I have. This is TalkSport. We are the two mics. We've got loads more coming up, of course. We've got a little bit of competition later on. We're going to be talking about the Lions game this morning, which they did, in the end, win rather cleanly and rather easily.
Yes.
But, of course, only a week to go now until the big one when they take on the All Blacks, who absolutely slaughtered Samoa the other day in their opening game. David says this, MG, as Porky's doing a repeat story day, can you tell us the one about your cleaner moving the photo frame? He quite liked that one. Jimmy says, I'm having a barbecue today and the fridge is full of booze. Currently explaining to the girlfriend that bladderation may happen.
That's right.
Well, it is that kind of day, isn't it?
It is that kind of day. But remember, folks, the mantra of this show is bladderation in moderation.
It is indeed.
Please, okay?
Steve says this, great show, lads. Please wish my granddaughter Holly Kidd good luck in a gymnastic event in Birmingham today.
Yes, very good luck.
What do you mean, yes?
No, I'm thoroughly endorsing your sentiment.
It'd be nice if you actually listened to what I was saying.
Yeah, what's her name again?
Her name is Holly.
Holly, congratulations on winning, because I know you're going to.
She hasn't won anything.
Yeah, but she's going to.
She's going into a gymnastics competition in Birmingham.
You will win.
And by coincidence, we're about to go to Birmingham right now because Jeffrey Marshall is a man who's going to visit all the stations in the entire country, right? Which count apparently 2,563.
Yeah.
At the moment, he's visited 1,239 stations, and he is, of course, currently at Birmingham. I don't know if it's Birmingham New Street or Birmingham International, Jeff. Which one are you at?
I'm actually at the lesser-known Birmingham Moore Street. Good afternoon.
Oh, good afternoon.
Right, now I know that one, Jeff, because you can get a train from there down into London, into Marylebone Station.
That is the one. That's probably what I'm going to do in about an hour's time.
Really, yeah.
Home for this weekend. It's a gorgeous old station with a lot of old features. It's beautiful here.
That's right, it certainly is. Now, Jeff, this is a mighty mission, and I do admire you for having the constitution, the energy to do it, but what is the purpose of it? I'm not saying that it's pointless, but I'd like to know why you've embarked on this mammoth exercise.
Well, it's actually two of us. It's me and my lovely lady, Victoria. It's called All the Stations. And we just decided last year, 2016 was a tumultuous year for many, that we wanted to do something brilliant with our summer this year.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to hold the world record twice for travelling to all the tube stations in London in the fastest time possible.
I see.
And this is like the grown-up version of doing just the tube stations.
Okay.
To do all 2,500 national railway stations. So
and what constitutes a visit? Do you have to just get? I mean, can you get off the train that you're on, stand on the platform, and get back on again?
Yeah, we can. Like sometimes we just put our foot on the platform. Sometimes we stay. As long as the train actually stops. The important thing is that you can't get like a fast train. If a train goes fast through a station, that doesn't count.
No, exactly. So if you see the train burning through Clapham Junction on its way to Portsmouth, you can't count Clapham Junction.
Or in your case, just sitting at Clapham Junction because it's not going anywhere.
Well, it wasn't going anywhere this morning. I'm telling you, that must be something that drives you mad, Jeff. Because I get a delayed 10-minute train delay on my train this morning. That's fine. You might be getting that every day for the next 3 months.
Surprisingly, we've actually found we've been going 6 weeks now. We've only had sort of 2 or 3 moments where there's been an issue. I'm being genuinely I'm not being biased. I found the railways to be extremely reliable, which I know some people might disagree with, but 95% it's been great.
Great.
Well, I mean, it is true. I mean, we hear an awful lot about the delays and the problems because people. I mean, I used to commute on a regular basis on the train. It was a nightmare. Yeah. But I mean, we do run an awful lot of trains in this country, and most of them probably run reasonably well. How did you start with the underground, Jeff? Did you always have an interest in this particular mode of transport?
Just because I was, I'm a London boy. I was born in Lambeth. I remember seeing old tube maps, and I was fascinated by all these far-flung places, that I wanted to visit. And so when I had a bit of money when I was older, I started exploring. Mm-hmm. And now, it's beautiful. I get to explore the whole country. And a lot of people don't just do their normal commuter line where maybe the service isn't that great. But, at the weekend, why not buy a ticket, take a random journey to somewhere, use our railways and explore the country, meet people, see brilliant sights that you've not seen before, and just, love our railways.
Sure. Now, what I love about some of the railway stations I've been to, Jeff, and I come from Stockbroker Belt, Surrey. Now, there's a station down there called Cheam, and whoever the station manager is, whether it's a man or a woman, they are meticulous about their station. They change the flowers in the baskets, They keep it clean all the time. There's never any litter. They polish everything up. Do you find that generally speaking, is the way you find these sort of non-mainline stations?
There are. So we're in Birmingham right now. So there was one yesterday. We were at, this might be familiar to some of your listeners. It was Birmingham. It was Smethwick. Was it Rolf Street? I'm looking at Vicky right now. She's nodding. Yeah. And there's the guy there, the station manager there, and he's meticulous. He looks after his little station.
Yes.
And it's got a really great community feel to it. And I think that's really nice. Again, in these tumultuous times.
So do I.
It's nice that the railways can make people feel part of the community, and it's nice when you sort of see. We were at a station yesterday called Polesworth near Tamworth. And there were 8 people waiting for the train, and they all knew each other, and everyone was like, morning, and it was lovely. It felt really nice and kind of reassuring.
Yes, that's right.
It does. It forces people to kind of. I remember when I used to commute up from the West Country. I lived in Wiltshire.
That's right.
And it would be always the same people would get on a train at Reading.
Yes.
To head into Paddington. And they would all get around a table, 4 of them. Yeah. And they would play bridge or something on the way into work.
No. You met most of the people in the bar car.
No, I'm talking about in the mornings.
Yeah, well, you'd still be in the bar car in the mornings, mate.
No, in the mornings there is no bar car. Yeah.
Well,
I mean, I'm a great fan of the bar car. I mean, I would have a bar car on the tube, to be honest, if they had one.
There should be drinks on the tube. There's a great story about the train that went from Waterloo to Weymouth each night on a Friday, and there was a club, and they got in the buffet car, and every time you went through a station that began with a W, you had to have a drink. And there's Weymouth and Wimbledon, and apparently there's about 6 or 7 stations that all begin with W.
That's right.
It's basically a drinking game based on train stations.
When I was at university, actually, some friends of mine who were at college in London used to have parties on the Circle Line. They'd go down with a sort of picnic hamper and a few cans and sometimes a few bottles of champagne, and they would just sit on the Circle Line and go round and round and round.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I can't endorse that. I think TfL take a very dim view to that.
I think they would.
I'm certainly not endorsing it. I'm just telling you what used to happen. Yeah. Take it easy, Jeff. Join the railway police.
Yeah, that's right. The thought police. Now, Jeff, which is your favourite station?
Oh, crikey. We were down in Cornwall, which has just got some amazing scenery, although we think Wales and Scotland to come are going to be amazing. There's a little tiny least used station called Coombe Junction, which is near Liskeard, and there was no one there, and there was the wind in the trees and birds chirping and sheep in the fields, and it was idyllic and it was beautiful. So can I get some plugs in for our Twitter?
Please do. Yes, do.
We want to stress that we're making almost daily YouTube videos. So if you're on YouTube, just search for the name All the Stations, and we have a Twitter handle which is again at All the Stations. I have to give a shout out to the Railway Delivery Group who are supporting us. They have this Twitter hashtag called Britain Runs on Rail. Again, just, promoting how brilliant the railways are. But if you just search for the phrase, my friends, All the Stations, and we are online everywhere. And we're going
to tweet you out right now from the Two Mikes Twitter account. So
thank you.
We'll be able to do it. And you've crowdfunded all this, right?
Yeah, I mean, because we totted it all up. Like we have a thing that are called a lot of people say, what tickets are you getting? There's a thing called All Line Rovers, which basically let you travel everywhere. For the two of us for 3 months, that was just $10,000 a piece. So we crowdfunded on Kickstarter £38,000 to do this because we're paying our video editors. We're getting other people to edit it properly for us for the daily videos. So there's about 1,500 people out there that brilliantly all donated us money to make the Kickstarter happen.
Brilliant.
Tremendous. Well, good luck.
Very ambitious and very successful. Well done.
I hope that you don't fall out with each other, having travelled so far together. You don't get to occasions where, one of you decides to...
one little argument.
Really? Yeah. Well, that's extraordinary.
I think it's great.
That was about the last sausage roll in Kendal railway station, yeah?
Yeah. I think it's about who was paying for the tea.
I see, probably, yeah.
Excellent stuff, Jeff. Thank you very much indeed. Or maybe some Kendal mint cake.
Kendal mint cake,
which you can get up
very
in
nice.
Kendal, can't you? Because I had to travel around Britain with you on a train. I don't think it'd last more than about 2 days.
No, well, we would be in the bar car, so tempers might get frayed.
That's true, yeah. And then you'd retire to the first-class carriage without having paid for it.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
But I do love that train down to Cornwall where you can sit there for 4 hours and have lunch, over a couple of bottles, except they've scrapped it, apparently.
Have they?
Well, I remember, Richard and Judy?
Yes.
They had a holiday home in Cornwall, and apparently when they'd finished work on Friday, it was delightful for them. They were going to Waterloo, I think. Now, where would you go? You'd go to Paddington, wouldn't you?
Paddington to Cornwall, yes.
Cornwall, and they used to love it. And then all of a sudden they said, this idyllic journey where you saw the sea on one side and the hills on the other.
That was where they got swept away, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. They suddenly took the restaurant car off, so bit of a shame.
Oh, dear.
Yeah. Now then, talking about silly accents, what about Arise Sir Big Yin?
Yes, Sir Big Yin, Billy Connolly.
Hey!
Yeah. Well, I think everyone in the country could be, I would say, forming a very happy line of applause for Mr. Connolly, or Sir Billy.
Sir Billy now,
known, because I think everybody likes Billy Connolly, don't they?
Well, everybody does. I mean, he sort of he emerged in the 70s, didn't he? He went on the Michael Parkinson show and told that famous joke about the neighbour who killed his neighbour.
Oh, well, the bike parking joke.
That's right.
Yeah.
And they buried him in the bike shed.
Well, and then he tell it on here. It's a family show.
It's a very innocent joke.
No, it's not
Billy
an innocent
Connolly.
joke. It's
and
a
he said,
show.
why is his bottom sticking out of the,
why are you telling
the
it
cement?
when I've told you
and he
not
said,
to tell it?
I got somewhere to park my bike.
Yeah.
I mean,
He told it a lot better than you, by the way.
He did tell it a lot better.
It was also on late-night television.
It was on late-night television, yeah, so I don't wish to demean the sanctity of our show.
Unfortunately, you made such a hash of it that nobody has ever actually worked out how rude it is.
That's rather harsh.
But I was, funnily enough, I think I was only about 11 or 12.
Yeah.
And I don't know quite how we came to have it, but we ended up with a record, a Billy Connolly record, which was a live recording of one of his shows.
Oh, really?
In which he sang, and used to play the banjo as well.
Yes.
And it was very, very funny.
Oh, he's an incredibly talented and gifted man. He can go on a stage for 3 hours and keep a crowd captivated. That is an immense talent. Most people die after 7 minutes, you know what I mean?
Yes.
In fact, sometimes I die after 7 minutes on stage with you because, you're so hopeless.
Well, you don't remember ever being on stage with me because of the amount of drink that you've taken before you go on. Now, here's one from James. Yeah. Boy, oh boy, Porky's going to spend the next 90 minutes compiling a list of train stations. The world holds its breath in anticipation.
Yeah. I thought you would, I thought that will keep people riveted to the show until the end. Listen, the famous story about Billy Connolly, he came over to New York to try and break into the American market. And our old colleague, Philip Finn, who was then, he wasn't even bureau chief actually, and Brian Vine was still there and all that kind of stuff. and he was assigned to sort of, do the Billy Connolly diary. You know what I mean?
Can I just interrupt you for a second?
Sure, yeah.
Because you've also told this story before. I mean, you are now breaking the record for a number of stories in one show that you've already told. John says this. How many times is Porky going to tell that Richard and Judy story?
Oh, yeah.
He's obsessed.
Well,
and Alan says, has that plank run out of stories today? I must have heard most of those he's told today at least twice before.
Now, this is a very...
So can you not tell this one again, please?
No, I'm getting it. This is very cruel. I mean, you've got to remember that we have, hundreds of thousands of new listeners each month. So I want to welcome them to the family of the two Mikes. But
but you can't just keep repeating the same stories over and over again.
Very briefly, it was the one where he didn't have a drink for the 4 days that Phil was with him, in the build-up to the show.
Yes.
He had a
it was
show.
at Carnegie Hall, wasn't it?
Carnegie Hall. It's either there or Radio City, one of the two.
Yeah.
And then he came off stage and he went to his kit bag and he pulled out a bottle of whiskey and he literally necked the first third of the bottle without, breaking to breathe.
Yes.
And within 20 minutes, I remember Phil saying, this man went from being completely sober to completely bladderated.
Although, to be fair...
And his legs went, they had to be carried out of his dressing room.
To be fair, there is an element of sort of adrenaline that kicks in when you're doing one of those shows. I mean, not for a moment would I in any way suggest that we're comparable to Billy Connolly doing a show.
No.
We are doing a show in New York in September, though, however, and we should have some very good news on that front coming up in a few days.
Right.
However, there is a point at which, you stop. It's a bit like doing a radio show sometimes.
Yes.
You stop doing a radio show, you go to the pub and you have a couple of quick pints.
That's right.
And sometimes the effect can be quite remarkable. Whereas
I don't find it remarkable. I find it very.
Well, you spend most of your
absorbing.
life bladderated. I mean, that's why for you there's very little difference between whether you're drinking or whether you're not drinking.
Terrible.
Which is why you go wandering off like some kind of crazy old man shopping at 6:30 in the morning.
That's not crazy.
Buying two different kinds of butter and one yogurt.
Yeah, I tell you what, mate.
The big shop.
That is just organising. That is just organising your life properly.
Really?
Well, what are you doing at 6:30 this morning? Recovering from your session last night?
No, I was still asleep.
Still asleep. You see?
Because you know what I did last night? I started watching House of Cards.
Yes.
The new series. Have you started watching that yet?
No, I haven't. No.
Because it's very good.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not going to tell you what happens. Obviously,
I will. I'll get onto that. Now then, one thing that I want to pick up.
Also,
with
I blew up an alligator as well.
You blew it. You mean to put in the swimming pool?
Yeah.
Yes, I see. Okay. Now, one thing I want to warn you about the swimming pool. Okay.
Yeah, go on.
And this is very serious. Right? This is not a joke. I know we like a bit of frivolity, but I also have serious issues.
Yes. You certainly do have serious issues.
Do you? Do you have a hose pipe in the garden?
Yes.
Now, I want you to be extremely careful with this hose pipe because what happens with hose pipes is, I think there's a danger in this country of an imminent epidemic of Legionnaire's disease.
I don't think you should be spreading that kind of panic.
No. Listen, there's a danger. I didn't say it would happen. Now, let me tell you why.
Legionnaire's disease airborne?
It is airborne, and you're absolutely right.
Rather than waterborne.
Listen, the figures show there's an increasing
incidence.
Increasing incidence is a good word of Legionnaire's disease. You know what's happening?
Because more Legionnaires.
Eh?
More Legionnaires.
No, you idiot. Now, Legionnaires is called Legionnaires because, of course, the first time it broke out was at the meeting of the American Legionnaires, wasn't it? It was a big conference in America.
I didn't know
And what happens is, if you leave water...
What is a Legionnaire, anyway?
American Legionnaires are like these charitable things, like the Beavers and all that kind of stuff.
The Beavers?
Yeah, in America they have the Beaver Club.
No, the Elks, you mean?
No, in Happy Days,
That's a fictional television show.
Yeah, I know, but their father was... They're real.
No, they have Elks. They have the Elks.
They have the Elks, but they have another one. I'm sure they're called the Beavers,
really?
the American fundraisers.
I'm pretty sure that's not what they're called.
Well, I'm pretty sure they are.
All right.
But anyway, these guys are called the Legionnaires, and they're charity. And they had this big conference in a big hotel, and a lot of them got very ill, and some of them died.
Okay.
And what happens is that they change over the water system. Now, if water... lingers in a shower head, or the end of a hose pipe, and I'm thinking about your kids spraying each other, you know what I mean, or something like that.
Well, we try not to waste water, that's for sure.
Well, of course not. No, it was a bit of fun and games, isn't there? If the water's left for a period of time, so for instance, people pick it up after not using it over the winter, but there's still droplets of water in the end, that can develop into bacteria, and that's Legionnaire's disease. Now, the reason I tell you is because. This
is why they say you should keep your shower head clean.
This is absolutely
take your
right.
shower head off And you know what you can do? You put it in vinegar.
You put it in vinegar. I totally agree. Now, this is totally right, because having investment in property, I've come across a lot of cases where if properties are left for, say, 6 weeks in between lets, you see what I mean?
I see.
By the time a new person goes in, those droplets have not been used for 6 weeks, so the water hasn't been flushed through the shower head, and you get Legionnaire's disease, and people have started to catch it.
Do you ensure that anyone who rents a property from you has had a new shower head put in?
Absolutely.
Really?
It's inspected.
I can't imagine that's what you do.
Well, you don't need a new shower head. You need to do exactly what you've said. You soak it in vinegar or you soak it in disinfectant. I mean, you basically make sure that
So
you
when
clean
somebody
it.
rents a place from you, it's got a sort of strong smell of disinfectant, has it?
Not necessarily. It might be... the other thing you can put in is... balsamic stuff to actually, which is like vinegar, you know.
Well, no, it is vinegar.
Yeah, it is vinegar. Just to make sure it's not there.
Vinegar.
But it's even more dangerous for me, because if you live in more than one dwelling.
Yes.
Now, for instance, we are so busy in June, I'm not sure how often I will get to my other dwellings, right?
Your other dwellings?
Yes, that's
Well, you
right.
never get to the one in Orwell Quay.
I don't, in fairness.
I mean, when was the last time anyone used that shower? So it'll be a hotbed of Legionnaire's disease, that place.
It won't, because I make sure that doesn't happen. But what I'm saying is, I might, go down to the coast or something, and then I might go into my place and I might get changed. I'll get a bit of bladderation under the belt, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then I might come back at 11 o'clock at night.
Well, you wouldn't come back the same day as you were bladderated, surely.
Eh?
You wouldn't come back the same day
No,
as you were
no,
bladderated.
back to that dwelling, but I haven't used the shower before I've gone out, you see what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I might think, it was a great night. I might have a shower. I sometimes do have a shower at 11 o'clock when I come in, why not? Yeah, I do, yeah. And I said I'm watching a bit of telly while my hair dries. But the point is...
your hair dries.
Well, my hair dries, yeah. But the point is that I could then be using a shower that hasn't been used for, say, 2 weeks.
Right.
And honestly, Legionnaire's disease could be lurking in that shower.
You can take this a bit seriously, can't you?
No, you've got to take it seriously. It's a very serious issue.
Well, what you're saying then is that when you go away on holiday for 2 weeks, which I know you don't do, but I do sometimes, that means if I haven't had a shower for 2 weeks in a particular flat, that I could be risking getting a disease.
Definitely. Without a shadow of a doubt. You must rinse out the shower head on a regular basis.
Nonsense.
Well, when you get Legionnaire's disease, pal, I won't be at your bedside telling you I told you so.
Really?
No.
Well, that's one thing to look forward to then.
Yeah.
What are the symptoms, by the way, in case I'm somehow getting it?
Oh, you go gaga.
Gaga.
Yeah, it is, honestly.
Are you sure you haven't got it then?
It's so ridiculous. But no, it is a very, very serious problem, and it's increasingly occurring in this country for a number of reasons.
I see.
People now have different showers which are supposed to sort of restrict water, but in restricting water, they also retain water, and that's the problem. There's not much water flowing through the system.
Daniel's tweeted in at the two mics. He says, I just want to say thank you to Mike Parry. It's insane how much fun we've had over your shopping trip.
Really?
Yeah.
What do you mean fun?
People have just really enjoyed it.
Hang on, I go into a supermarket, I put a few things in my basket, I'm wheeling around, I think I'll take a picture to say, look, don't worry, I'll be back to the supermarket soon and back in the studio at 11 o'clock. I think I put 10, actually.
You said it was going to start at 10. Yeah. You get it wrong almost every week.
I do, 11 o'clock with MG, and all of a sudden people are amazed that I do normal things. Now, talking about normal things...
By the way, you'll like this from Rich in Chester, your old town.
Oh, yes.
I work doing Legionnaire risk assessment on rental properties, and it is a very real risk.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, I said that, didn't I?
No, yeah. Well, maybe you could get Rich to check your places out.
Well, he won't need to, because I do take care. But isn't it amazing? So that's a local authority which already realises the dangers of Legionnaire's disease to the extent where they've appointed experts to check it out.
Well, they do with local authorities. He didn't say he works for a local authority.
Well, I bet the local authorities will be aware.
Well, he doesn't say that. And EDO says, I hate to stick up for Mike Parry, but my son goes to the Beavers in Scotland. That's what younger kids go to before they become scouts.
Thank you.
I always thought that was the Cubs.
No, well, there's Cubs.
In this country, it's the Cubs.
Yeah, there are Cubs as well. Yeah, that's true. Now, listen, where things are happening, the situation, I think, is bubbling under in rather a specific fashion at Stamford Bridge. Antonio Conte's Chelsea future is in doubt, with Diego Costa one of 4 issues driving a potential wedge between the Italian boss and the club. It says here, Conte is refusing to back down from his decision to dump Costa by text, despite efforts by the Blues hierarchy to patch up the row.
Now, see, I have sympathy here for Antonio Conte, because this is a
So
guy who came to Chelsea, and we've talked about this in the past. It now seems to be reaching a sort of a crescendo.
An impasse?
An impasse, possibly, yeah. Because we all were under the impression that Costa didn't want to stay at Chelsea, right?
That's right.
He made lots of noises, or at least through his agent, he made lots of noises that he was going to be offered something like £600,000 or £650,000 a week to play in China. I don't know what happened to that. I don't know whether the Chinese offer never came or whether they ended up just somehow doing away with the money that they had down there.
Yep.
And so if I was Conte, and don't forget that here's a guy as well who really couldn't be bothered playing football for Jose Mourinho. He was one of the ones that downed tools.
Yeah.
And suddenly now here's a guy who says, oh, no, I want to stay at Chelsea.
Yeah.
Because nobody else has offered me anything, and because he's now been sent packing, he's moaning and groaning about it. I think he should just grow up and get lost.
Apparently, that's not the only problem. The only the other issues are Mr. Conte sees the club's unambitious transfer plans for the summer ahead of a Champions League campaign as being a problem. Also, the former Juventus boss is said to be unimpressed by a perceived lack of backing for his preferred transfer targets last summer and in January just gone.
All right.
He was desperate to land Juve's Brazilian wing-back Alex Sandro, but the move was blocked, while another target, Real Madrid's Alvaro Morata, seems set for Manchester United.
All right.
He's also unhappy, this is Mr. Conte again, this is his fourth bit of unhappiness, with some aspects of his backroom staff following the departure of Steve Holland to join the England setup full-time. Now, this man's got a load of gripes.
Yeah, he has. And also, as I said, I mean, he's already shown himself to be a man of I would say, poor character. I don't wish to libel him, of course, but I mean, anyone who just says, well, I don't really fancy playing football for Jose Mourinho, so I'm just not going to bother scoring any goals. He's not exactly the world's most likeable player, is he? He's a guy that's known for falling about, getting people sent off, playing hard and fast with the rules and not always obeying them. And, there are some who would call Diego Costa one of the worst kind of footballers around.
Well, do you mean in his behavioural aspects of it? Yeah,
exactly.
Okay, I agree.
In the sense that he doesn't care how he wins. He doesn't really have any kind of code of honour. He's quite happy to get people red carded when perhaps they don't deserve to be.
Yes.
And he's managed to do it quite a lot, didn't he? Did it against that Arsenal player last season. So
yeah.
I mean, I guess if you're a Chelsea fan, you might want to keep him around because he is a good goal scorer.
Yeah, but I think it's the Chelsea hierarchy who want to keep him around. Now, if Mr. Conte's gone very public on... no, he didn't. Diego Costa went very public on receiving a text from Mr. Conte saying, look, you're not part of my plans for next season.
Yeah.
And he seemed to accept that fairly well and said, that's football, that's life. But he's then clearly... either through his agent or something, had a conversation with the hierarchy at Chelsea who say, no, we'd like you to stay.
Yeah.
Now, that is a real impasse because you've got a boss there who's just brought them back the Premier League title. You've got a Champions League campaign next season. You've got a player who clearly is a source of trouble. I'm not saying he's a troublemaker, but is a source of trouble in the dressing room.
Yeah.
And it's got to be resolved. So that's a very tricky situation.
Absolutely right. And I mean, in the end, surely Conte, I'm sure, has come to the club when they were in pretty dire straits after a terrible season under Jose Mourinho, when things had gone from bad to worse.
They were. I agree.
They weren't in Europe. I mean, Conte's come in, totally revolutionised the place. He's won the Premier League by some ease, with some ease.
Yeah.
They're about to go into Europe with a man who's the former Juventus coach, former Italian national coach. They'd be crazy to let him leave and keep Costa, wouldn't they?
I totally agree, but I think it's been proven again and again and again that what Mr. Abramovich wants at Chelsea happens, and if you don't like it, you leave, not
I get
Mr.
that.
Abramovich.
I totally get that, and I'm sure Conte gets that as well. Shall we take some calls on it, perhaps?
Yes, we will.
If you're a Chelsea fan, we want to hear from you.
Yes.
I mean, I presume you'd be crazy to say you want to choose Costa over Conte, but let's find out.
Yeah, you would.
Would you like to give out the number?
I will give out the number.
You enjoy doing that.
This is the non-mangle-mouthed version of the number.
Yeah.
08717 22 33 44.
Very good.
Okay.
08717 223344.
And listen, just before we move on, have you seen that Ray Hodgson is
Ray Hodgson?
Roy Hodgson, not Ray Hodgson. Roy Hodgson.
I thought perhaps he had another brother.
No, I'm having a drifting mind there. Roy Hodgson is actually going to get back into football punditry
Oh, God.
for the.
Joking.
No, honestly, I think it's for the World Cup next year.
Oh,
but
God.
guess where he's going to do it?
So, what? Well, is he going to travel to Russia? Presumably?
No, he's going to Qatar.
Qatar?
He's going to do it for beIN, Richard
Sport.
Keys and.
Right, okay.
But I think
that's good. We won't have to watch it then.
Well, no, but I think something must have failed to tell him that most people in Qatar over the next few months who go there may not be allowed to return.
I thought there was nobody going there. I thought that was the whole point. Did this not be cut off yet by all those airlines?
No, apparently it is. It says, what have I found out here? Number of Middle Eastern countries obviously have got a problem with Qatar, but it says that former England manager Roy Hodgson making a return to football in the wake of the humiliating defeat by accepting work as a TV pundit in Doha. So this is immediately. It's not at the next World Cup. Despite the international crisis which has developed some. Now, funny enough, I exchanged tweets with Richard, our friend Richard Keys, the other night. I said, hi, Rich, how's it going? Any chance you'll be released within the next 3 years? And he sent a funny one back saying, no, don't worry, the hostages are being fed tea and biscuits and all that kind of stuff.
Well, he's got a great sense of humour, as Richard Keys,
of course he has.
He understands when people make fun of him, and he doesn't seem to mind it too much.
No, he doesn't.
You don't get nasty, though, otherwise he'd probably turn on you.
He probably would. Yeah. I then said to him, I said, look, Andy Gray will get out because he's won, the FA Cup and the League Cup and the Premier League, and the First Division Championship. And I said, you don't have a record like that, do you? He then sent me one back claiming that he's played 4 times at Wembley. A bit like your spurious claim to have been a player at Wembley.
No, I played once at the old Wembley,
yes.
and we won the competition. Thanks very much indeed.
Yes.
But don't worry. There's also, there are pictures of the team.
I've seen it.
Yeah. You've seen it.
Des
Kelly was in it.
You and a load of deadheads.
No, Des Kelly was in the team.
Quite a few of
our colleagues. Quite a few of our colleagues who are still in the profession, actually, still writing about football.
Yes, absolutely.
And there we are. Anyway, there's a video as well. Maybe I'll get that to you as well.
I can't wait for that one.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Have you counted up all those stations yet, by the way?
This is Owen Slott, the chief rugby correspondent from The Times. Owen, welcome.
Owen, very good morning.
How are you going?
Good afternoon,
Yeah, very well indeed, thank you.
Yeah, that was a bit better this evening, I suppose. It was your time, wasn't it?
It was a blessed relief, to be honest. We go, well, the tour needs momentum, and it certainly, if you're covering it as a journalist, you want to feel positive that there is a great contest ahead. We all want a great rugby series, albeit we know that the Lions are the underdogs and the All Blacks are strong favourites. But there have been some performances here which makes you think that it might be 2-1 way. But the Saturday team, they beat the Crusaders last week, who are the best Super Rugby team in New Zealand, and today they beat the New Zealand Maori, and that's the team that goes on to play the Test matches. So they're actually on a bit of a roll, and they are getting better as well.
I mean, this is unofficially termed the sort of 4th Test, isn't it, Owen? So this will be the one, I suppose, that the All Blacks will have taken most note about in terms of how they gauge themselves against the Lions.
Well, traditionally, it's been called the 4th Test. I actually think in this Lions series that the Super Rugby teams have been so strong, and the Super Rugby teams they're like club teams. They play together every week, so they're phenomenally well oiled to the machines. Whereas the Maoris are a bit like the Lions, in that they come together for certain occasions. So I would say that today wasn't the toughest opposition. I think last week against the Crusaders was probably a tougher game, but the Lions won it better today, and they were better, and they looked more powerful, and you could see more how they could provide a threat to the All Blacks.
Yeah, I see.
And would you say, Owen, that Warren Gatland now knows which 15 he's going to start with next Saturday in the Test?
I would say he's sort of 95% there, yes. One interesting thing he said after the game, which is pretty significant for Lions fans, is that he said that at a pinch, Owen Farrell could have started today. So the question mark about will he or won't be fit for next week, I think we sort of got we've got a pretty conclusive answer that he should be fit for next week. So the questions, there are questions. I mean, what team is he going to play? There's a brilliant contest for the 2 second row positions. For most of the tour, it looked like it would be Alan Wynne-Jones, the Welshman, and George Cruz, the Englishman, with Maro Itoje knocking on the door and probably playing off the bench. But Maro started today with his Saracens teammate George Cruz, and they looked really good, and Maro looked brilliant again. So that's a really interesting decision. And then with Farrell back, the makeup of his playmakers is really interesting as well. So Owen Farrell, I'm pretty sure will be his first choice 10. So the question is, Owen Farrell is a first choice. So the question is, does he play Owen at 10 and then have his big ball carrier Ben Teo, who had an excellent game again today at 12, or does he play a slightly more fancy down arrangement of having two playmakers, which is quite fashionable, and play Johnny Sexton and Owen Farrell alternating at 10 and 12 between them? Owen would be more at 12 than Sexton, but those are two options that I think we're going to be talking about for quite a lot of the week to come.
Sure.
Yeah, indeed.
And having seen the All Blacks' performance against Samoa, you wonder whether all that talk might just be in vain anyway, right?
Do we really have to talk about that?
Let's not.
I travelled 3 hours up to Auckland yesterday to watch them, and obviously writing for a British newspaper, I was sent hoping to come back with all this brilliant information of where the All Blacks had weaknesses and how Lions fans could have hope, etc., etc. And they were absolutely mesmerisingly wonderful.
Yeah.
They were playing a particular Samoa team, but Lord, they put together some wonderful rugby.
They really did. Absolutely right. Listen, Owen, thank you very much indeed. That was
Thanks,
Owen
Owen.
Slot, rugby correspondent from The Times, live from Rotorua. Pick up your copy of The Times and the Sunday Times during the Lions tour for more quality analysis.
The British and Irish Lions Tour of New Zealand 2017 on Talk Sport. On location with The Times and The Sunday Times. Quality coverage of the entire Lions Tour from expert writers and ex-players.
Will you be preparing yourself for the first test, of course, next Saturday?
Well,
it's going to be live right here on Talk Sport.
It is live right here on Talk Sport. It finishes before we come to air, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah.
But you will want to watch it, won't you?
Oh, of course I'll watch it, yes, yeah.
Where will you be watching it?
Where am I watching it? I'll probably get into the studio early and watch it here, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, then
Jolly
I
good.
can
So
absorb.
you won't be able to go shopping next Saturday morning then if you're coming in here early.
I'm not going to take any more facetious comments from you about the way I organise my domestic life. It is of, the thing is that you don't know anything about it because, you've never been self-sufficient and independent in your life. You always had to
You think I've never been self-sufficient or independent in my
always
life?
had to have a sort of crutch to lean on.
Is
you know
that
what
right?
I mean? Yeah, I'm not sure you could take on life
What
on
you mean
your own terms.
What you mean having a partner as opposed to shambling around on my own?
Well, I don't know why you ever talk about your partners because most of your partner relationships have been so catastrophically, chaotic and wrong.
Yeah.
That I personally,
I guess I could have stuck to just going out with married women like you.
I personally wouldn't even boast about them.
No, I wouldn't either. Stephen says this, MG, will your 1 minute moan be about how long it takes Porky to read out the bleeding phone number?
Well, that's a bit harsh, isn't it? By the way, I saw some very appreciative tweets have been coming in. Did you read that one out about a chap who said, "Oh, you've given us so much fun about your shopping this morning"?
I did read that one. Have you forgotten that I read it?
Yeah,
out?
yeah. Well, no, I haven't forgotten. I wanted to read it again. Just want to say thank you to Mike Parry. It's insane how much fun we've had over your shopping trip. So you see, something that you dismiss as being trite and
So you not think he's
unnecessary.
being sarcastic there?
No, he's not.
You
no.
sure?
No, of course he's not.
Sometimes I wonder if you understand sarcasm.
Sorry?
Sometimes I wonder if you understand it.
I do, but I mean, no, that to me, I take that absolutely at face value. Now then, somebody's telling me here that there is a brand new English wine at £9 from Stockbroker Belt, Surrey. How about that?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of English wines on the market now.
It's called English White.
Yes.
And it's from...
Is it from Kent, by any chance?
No, it's from Stockbroker Belt. That's the point. It's
from Surrey. You sure?
And it's called a Bacchus Chardonnay.
Uh-huh.
And I've got a picture of it here. Thank you very much indeed for the person who sent the picture in.
Well, the soil in parts of Surrey and parts of Kent is identical to the soil in France, which grows the very same vines.
Is that right?
Yeah. Well, that's why the wine regions in this country tend to be, at the moment, in the southeast of England, and also some in Devon as well.
Yeah,
because it's the soil that really creates the flavour of the wine.
I understand that, yeah. To my shame, I don't think I've ever drunk a glass of English wine.
Well, then I should take you to have some somewhere, shouldn't I?
Maybe in Borough Market.
In Roast, the great restaurant which is there, which I keep trying to promise to take you for breakfast.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
They have a very nice English wine list, yeah.
Well, I must get it. I'll tell you what, next time I'm doing a shop in one of the supermarkets, I will get down to the wine lane.
The wine lane.
Or the wine, what do you call it?
Well, that's where you were this morning.
Yeah, it was actually, but I didn't go down the wine lane. The wine aisle.
It's got an aisle.
The wine aisle.
You'd probably like it to be a lane.
No, I didn't go down the wine aisle. And I will get myself a bottle of white and see what it tastes like. English white, I mean.
Well, do you know, they also, there's a drink called Sussex now as well, which you can get, which is an English sparkling wine.
Oh, yes.
Which has got the name Sussex as a protected name, rather like champagne.
I see.
So you can only call it that.
What's the other stuff that we drink?
Prosecco.
Prosecco, yeah, a bit like Prosecco,
Well, it's a bit like Prosecco, but it's being called Sussex, and you can only call it that.
Sounds great.
If it's made in Sussex.
Sounds excellent.
Yeah. So look out for that as
You've
well.
got to look out for that one as well. Yeah,
Excellent.
I don't like fizzy stuff, right? That's why I don't drink champagne. I don't mind a Bucks Fizz. I had a few Bucks Fizzes.
Well, what's in Bucks Fizz?
This time last week. Well, it's champagne with pure orange juice, isn't it? Freshly squeezed orange juice,
Oh, it doesn't
which
have
is
to be
great.
freshly squeezed. It can come out of a carton.
Well, you can, but I don't,
Well, considering you eat everything else out of a carton.
No.
But you're quite happy to get freshly squeezed orange juice.
Yes.
What a plank you are.
Now listen, talking about food and all that, which we often do, and you are a big fan of food. I know that.
I am.
Sure,
I do like food.
I know you do.
I don't think
yeah.
there's anything wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with that, but I've come across a report in one of my health journals about the benefits of alternative forms of eating. For instance, it is suggested that grazing has been something in the last 2 or 3 years people have taken up and now live by it and say that, you have basically 8 or 9 or 10 little snacks a day.
Yes.
You don't actually have any
Instead
food.
of having one big meal.
Yeah. However, it is now thought, new research shows that eating little and often is not as healthy as we thought it was.
Really?
And people should abandon it. Yeah. What do you think?
Well, do you know, I mean, I'm still somebody that likes to have a regularly sort of big meal of the day. Normally, I would say in the evening rather than... I don't often have a big breakfast. I very rarely have lunch.
Yes.
But I'll do, I mean, in the evening is sort of when I tend to be more hungry, and people will probably say the best time to eat is in the morning.
Yes.
And then you should eat less and less as the day goes on.
Yes.
The problem with grazing, right, is that if you just keep eating, throughout the course of the day,
yes,
you end up eating way too much.
But you also eat rubbish because
I
it's
try
great.
not to.
No, you don't carry proper food around with you, so you're going to be grazing on peanuts, on crisps.
Well, no, that's
on
not
a bar
true.
chart. Yeah, you are.
See, again,
you are.
You're telling this from the perspective of somebody who spends their entire afternoon in the pub.
No.
I'm not talking about that. I mean, if you went, for example, to any number of parts of London where you can get fantastic grazing type food.
Yeah, like what?
Well, you could have anything you want. You could have oysters, for example.
Like grass.
If you wanted to eat grass, you probably could.
I don't mean grass. I mean that stuff that they grow in boxes, which is like grass.
You
mustard.
mean cress?
But cress.
Well, you could have cress.
Yeah,
I mean, we were in Borough Market the other day,
yes,
right?
Yeah.
Now, if you were in any way peckish, you could have gone to any number of the stalls there.
Yeah.
You could have had an empanada, which is an Argentinian sort of pie.
But what did I do instead?
What did you do? You had about 4 pints of beer, as far as I remember.
No, what did I do on the grazing front?
You had a bowl of chips.
Thank you.
Well, it's very good for you, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Bowl of chips, lashings of salt on it, because we've already spoken to a salt expert
and
this
about
week
5
who
pints
says...
of beer.
And 5 pints of beer, yeah.
So that was your grazing for the day?
Yeah, that was my grazing.
And what did you eat later?
Later, when I got home, I took Chinese food home. Beautiful Chinese food, dumplings.
Dumplings?
Yeah, and...
how can you even be still alive?
Hang on. A chicken and sweet corn soup, 2 helpings of.
Right.
And
2 soups?
Yeah.
It's a bit hot for soup, isn't it?
Well, I like a bit of soup anyway. It cools down very quickly,
How was
Chinese
the MSG
soup.
factor?
I don't know. And also a spring roll. With lots of, that sort of straw-type stuff in it.
2 lots of soup, a spring roll, and some dumplings.
Yeah, I did, yeah.
So that's what you ate?
Yeah. But you see, my food thing is good. I eat at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Do you?
Bacon sandwich, sausage sandwich.
Did
You
you
see
do
the
that this
sausages in my... Yes, I did, actually, yes.
I saw your Richmond sausages, yeah.
Yeah, Richmond sausages. And then, you see, I will then probably have a Graze... packet of peanuts in the pub, right? When I have a pint
if you're having
or
a
two.
sandwich at 5 in the morning,
yes.
So you don't eat anything then until what?
Until we finish the show, no.
Right. So you go to the pub.
Yeah, I might go to the pub and have a sort of refresher, just to look after the dehydration problem.
Yeah.
And a packet of...
it's not so good to drink alcohol in the heat. You know that,
Well, I don't like drinking alcohol in the heat, so I stay in the shade, I never drink wine.
It's still hot in the shade, by the way.
Yeah, anyway, listen, let me tell you what the research... And then, when I get home this evening... I will probably have a light meal at about 5 o'clock.
A light meal?
So I only eat 2 meals a day, always.
Well, what will your light meal consist of?
Light meal tonight, cottage pie.
Cottage pie?
Yeah.
It's not a light meal.
It is light, yeah, it is.
Is it one of those pre-made ones?
No, it's prepared. It's prepared.
So it's one that it's like a ready-made meal?
Well, I got it from the supermarket this morning.
But
That's right,
the point is that is not good for you.
No, but I enhance it by putting better meat in it. Like bits of chopped up fillet.
What you add meat into the cottage pie?
Yeah, I do, yeah. Anyway, listen, I want to tell you about this research.
Unbelievable.
Many experts are expressing a very different opinion about grazing than they did 2 years ago.
Right.
Latest studies suggest that eating a little bit here, a little bit there, is not as healthy as we have been led to believe. Many now argue that grazing could cause us to gain weight. In 2014, researchers from the Netherlands reported in the journal Hepatology that snacking throughout the day on smaller meals was more likely to increase cholesterol levels that could be stored in the liver and be detrimental to the accumulation of harmful fat around the waist, and that it is better to eat 3 square meals a day.
3 squares a day? Yeah, well, I mean, I think if you ate 3 square meals a day and you did plenty of exercise, that would be fine. I don't feel the need to eat 3 square meals a day because I think that would be too much food.
Yeah, well,
do you know what I mean?
Here are the nutritionist, well-known nutritionist called Dr. Sarah Schenker.
Schenker? Yeah, I've never heard of her.
Who is co-author of the 8-week blood sugar diet recipe book, okay?
That sounds really appetising, doesn't it?
Yeah. She says, in the past...
12-week blood sugar recipe book.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. She says, in the past, it was thought that constant grazing boosted a flagging metabolism and kept calorie burning at a constant high.
Right.
So what they're saying is it was constant refuelling of the body's need for energy, right?
Uh-huh.
However, this kind of snacking causes constant changes in your blood sugar levels, which means insulin is released because you are not allowing your body to run down energy stores.
Right.
Insulin promotes fat storage and inhibits fat breakdown. The more of it that is released, the more difficult it is to achieve weight loss. Another danger, says Dr. Schenker, is that people tend to consume more calories overall when they graze. That's what I just told you.
Well, that's what I said as well.
I just told you.
Because if you eat all day, constantly, you will end up eating more than you need to eat.
Quite apart from anything else, isn't it ridiculous that humans would refer to their intake of food as grazing?
Yes.
I mean, cows graze, sheep graze, goats graze.
But that's what
humans shouldn't. Shouldn't.
Well, that's the whole point. You know, they spend their entire day because they've got nothing better to do.
That's right.
Eating
all day.
You know, also cows have got about 8 stomachs or something.
Yeah, they have. They've got more than one, certainly. Yeah.
So they've got more room for all that grazing.
That's right. Yeah. So we sorted that one out.
Anyway, have you done your railway stations yet?
Still working on it.
Doing it.
Still working on it.
Yeah, no, people are going to want to know the answer.
Yeah, I'm getting there.
Can't just make it up.
I'm getting there. Don't worry. Of course, I'll make it up.
This is Talk Sport.
Okay,
I'm going slightly mad. I'm going slightly mad.
Coming up very shortly, we're going over to Bob Bubka, who's in Wisconsin watching the US Open, of course. He's going to get underway very shortly. We've got a quick a tweet here from Rob, who says, bacon and sausage sandwich, bowl of highly salted chips, 4 pints, some Chinese, Porky's healthy living tips of the day.
Yeah.
You should be dead, man.
No. I keep an eye on the quality of
1/3 of your heart
food.
works.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, well, that's right.
We are going to talk to the legend of golf, that is Mr. Bob Bubka. Bob, a very good afternoon to you.
Hey, good afternoon, guys. And why don't we open it up by a multiple... You guys love contests on your show.
We do.
Well, this is going to be a multiple choice, all right? The 4 possible answers are, or the question is, which is going to run out of air first? A blimp, Porky, Mike Graham, or Bob Bubka?
Yeah.
Well, it's not Porky, that's for sure.
No, I'll go for the blimp. We keep on going whatever happens, Bob, and whatever happens is quite remarkable when the top 3 golfers in the world ain't going to be around for the last 2 days, isn't it?
It's astonishing. I mean, Dustin Johnson, the number 1 ranked player in the world, defending U.S. Open champion, and doesn't make the cut. Rory McIlroy, who was complaining earlier in the week that they cut too much of the rough away. They were making it too easy. Doesn't make the cut. Jason Day, who came in here full of expectations, he doesn't make the cut. It's just an unbelievable story about the guys that didn't make the cut, as much as it is with the guys that have made the cut.
Yeah.
Of course, led by Paul Casey, an incredible performance yesterday. He made a triple bogey 8 on a par 5. He made a bogey after that, but rallied with birdies back to 7 under par and a share of the lead with Tommy Fleetwood. What a story that would be.
Yeah,
He's tied for the lead. And then there's a little guy. He's about 5'6", 160 pounds, and he plays left-handed by the name of Brian Harmon, who's tied for the lead. And then there's the muscle man, Brooks Koepka, who works out about probably about as much as Porky does. No, I think he a little bit more than that.
Well, 5 minutes a day.
Well, no, he spends a lot of time doing it, which is like what you do, except you're not working out in terms of all of that. Ricky Fowler's up there in the mix as well somewhere, isn't he, Bob?
Yeah, he had a great opening day. 65, 7 birdies, no bogeys. Didn't make a bogey for 28 holes, and then bogeyed his 29th hole, bogeyed his 30th hole, bogeyed his 31st hole, but he's still only one back after 2 rounds, so he's somebody that we have to consider. But he is a sleeper. He's only 21 years old. His name is Si-Woo Kim, and he's from South Korea, and he won the Players' Championship back a couple of months ago.
Right.
So he is a extremely talented young golfer. He's only 2 shots off the lead. You got to keep an eye on him.
Absolutely. And has the rough played as big a part as Rory McIlroy said it was going to, or rather said it wasn't going to? Because what I've seen a lot of players doing is missing approach shots and kind of misreading bunker play, and it's all around the greens that some of these guys are getting killed.
Yeah, and they are getting killed in what is called fescue. Some places it's 4 feet high.
Right.
I was very careful when I was out on the golf course. I was fearful I would trip and fall in the fescue and probably lay there 3 days before anybody found me. I mean, it's very tough. It's a long way from where you're supposed to hit it, so you shouldn't be in there. But if you get in there, it's mighty difficult to get out.
It certainly is. Now, every time a tournament starts, Bob, I look to see how Lee Westwood's doing, because I really want the boy to win something before he retires. You know, he's been the world's #1 golfer, but he's never won a major championship. He had another good start on this one. He was up there after day one, but again, he fell back. And I wish I knew why he's never got the resilience to get through 4 days.
Well, that's a wonderful question, and I think nobody wants that answer any more than Lee Westwood. I talked to him on the range at great length on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Billy Foster's his caddy. Good friends with both of them, and boy, you know, when you even said that about Lee Westwood, I get a little cringe, because if anybody, and I mean anybody in the world of golf, deserves to win a major, it certainly would be Lee Westwood. But hey, he's at level par. Yeah. He's only 7 shots back over 36 holes. You never know.
No,
maybe
you never
this
know.
could be the week.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, we were talking earlier as well, Bob, with a rather sort of tasty Twitter exchange between Rory McIlroy and Steve Elkington, who came out yesterday and said he thinks that Rory's bored with golf. He's got 100 million in the bank. Rory comes back with, actually call it 200 million, Steve, and I'm not bored, thanks very much.
I got as much kick out of that as I did you two guys talking about what wine you're going to drink.
Yeah, absolutely.
And about the soil in England. I mean, I'm going to have some of that wine when I come over next month to Royal Birkdale.
Absolutely right. You're going to have
I'm looking forward to that.
But I mean, is there a problem with McIlroy's kind of motivation? Because obviously, we know he had a rib injury. The Players' Championship didn't work out for him. The Masters didn't work out. He's missed the cut of the US Open. I mean, he's not having a great year, is he?
Well, let me put it to you this way, and just ponder what I'm about to say. You're a young man. You hurt your ribs, and then you get married. Man, oh man, do I ignore that pain in my ribs and make my wife happy? You know, I think he was in a quandary there. I think he's going to be fine. I don't see how anybody can beat Rory McIlroy at Royal Birkdale. I really don't. I think he's upset. He missed the cut here. Now he used to be able to go home and be by himself. Now he's got to go home and answer to the wife while he's not making any money this weekend. So I really fancy his chances early on for Royal Birkdale.
Brilliant. That's brilliant.
And what about Paul Casey? It'd be brilliant, wouldn't it, after that injury he had a few years ago because of the snowboarding accident? Everyone called him a bit reckless, a bit stupid. I mean, if he could hold on, that would be some comeback, wouldn't it?
Well, it really would. And when you think of this, the last 6 winners of majors, it was their first major victory.
Right.
So Paul Casey fits right into that description.
He does, yeah.
He's extremely. He's matured a lot. I mean, he's very great with the media now. He's great with the fans, and it would be great for golf. Paul Casey, if he could tick off that box, much like Sergio Garcia, they've been around a long time. People prior to the Masters said, "What's wrong with Sergio Garcia?" Well, now nobody's saying what's wrong with Sergio Garcia. And by the way, Sergio Garcia is only 4 shots out of the lead, so he could be a factor. And what juice that would put in to the Open Championship if Sergio Garcia comes in winning the first 2 majors.
It's going to be a fantastic couple of days, isn't it, Bob? And we'll be hearing from you, I'm sure, throughout. Thank you so much indeed.
Thanks,
Have
Bob.
a wonderful weekend over at Erin Hills there in Wisconsin. Bob Bupka, the legendary golf commentator, and he'll be over here, of course, soon for for the British Open, or the Open, I should call it, up at Birkdale. You've done Birkdale, I think, before, haven't you?
No, I don't think we did Birkdale. I think we did Royal Liverpool.
Oh, you did Lytham St Anne's, no?
Did Lytham St Anne's, and Royal Liverpool, which is just down the coast, isn't it, from Southport?
Yeah, it is indeed.
Yeah.
Mention another quick tweet we got here from Stephen. He says, "Can someone tell Bob Bupka this is a family show?"
It is a family show.
I didn't know he was straying into any areas that might be deemed to be. Was that the bit about Rory McIlroy's wife?
I think it was about husbandly duties and all that kind of stuff and broken ribs. But we won't go there. Now, listen, I just want to read this out very quickly. Lady Laura sent me a lovely note. She said, "Don't forget, Porky and Mike. The best wine in the world is from Norfolk."
Yeah, but nobody ever goes there, though.
Well, that's right. But, I mean, presumably they ship the Norfolk wine to other places in Great Britain.
Oh, sure they do.
So I'm going to be looking for some Norfolk wine next time I get down to the old supermarket.
I've never tried any wine from Norfolk, actually.
No, well, I'm going to try some, definitely. Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
We'll have to check it out. Now, 1 minute moan time. As I said, it's now currently 16-8 in my favour, so I think you should go first in order to try and set the scale of what I have to beat.
I will.
Would you like to get ready?
I will.
Start the clock.
Right, my moan is about supermarkets that open at one time but don't really properly function until an hour or two later, OK? That's not on. For instance, if I go to the supermarket at 6 o'clock and I've got all my goods in my trolley by 6:20, I don't then expect to have to go to a checkout and queue up behind a woman who has come in with 2 huge deep trolleys full of barbecue stuff for today's barbecue.
Well, she must be smarter than the average bear.
Takes her 10 or 15 minutes to get through, then loses her purse, then can't find her credit card, then forgets her credit card PIN number. It drives me bonkers. Another supermarket I go to get the baguettes at the time they open, which is 6 a.m. But the baguettes are not ready till 7 a.m. That's no good to me. I want my baguettes when I get there. I go to another supermarket and I expect to buy my national newspapers the minute they open at 6 o'clock. What happens? They haven't even cut the bands around them and got them on the shelves until 6:40 a.m. That is no good. If you open at a particular time, be open.
Still going.
Well, I fitted it all in.
Well, no, you didn't fit it all
Got
in.
It all in.
You finished too early.
No, it was absolutely
prematuro.
Immaculate.
No, you finished too early. That wasn't any good.
No, ridiculous.
You lose points for that.
No, you don't.
Yeah,
It was very, very concise.
Also, I thought your tweet said that you went. It was like having the M25 all to yourself.
Yes, it was.
But it clearly is not a good idea, is it?
Well, until I got to the checkout and then found this woman.
So you're clearly not smarter than the average bear.
She had 2, the deep trolleys you were talking about.
Yes.
She had 2 of those. It was full of booze, beer, barbecue stuff, burgers. It was outrageous. And it was all piled so high. Yeah. It took her about 20 minutes to pack it all up. She had a series of bags, and she was going...
why didn't you go to the self-checkout?
Well, because the self-checkout is not the sort of place I go.
Really?
No.
Well, wouldn't that be more sensible?
No. It's not the sort of place I go. And
Gaz has already tweeted, he says, MG wins.
No. I think you'll find that I've hit a chord here.
All right, you've hit a chord.
Whether you're pathetic 1 minute moan. Is you ready?
I am.
Right, OK, Maestro, start the clock.
My 1 minute moan is about television, right? Because television now seems to have become completely and utterly obsessed with sex. Now, I'm not Mary Whitehouse. I don't mind a little bit of flirtatious flesh on show whenever it's, after the watershed. But my son was with us last night and we were watching a little bit of Versailles, right? And Versailles has now become ridiculously obsessed.
Yeah.
He just wants to watch something that's a bit historical about Versailles. Yeah. I'm now going to find out that Poldark, which is now returned, of course, to our screens on a Sunday night, is not only going to have the main guy, Aidan, taking his shirt off.
Yeah.
But there's two other guys who are pictured in the papers today, Harry Richardson and Tom York.
They'll be leaping in a river tomorrow.
Which is not the same Tom York as from Radiohead, it's a different one. No. But they're going to be walking around with their shirts off, wading about in a river.
Yeah,
I mean,
so
what is wrong? Is there somebody within the BBC who is obsessed with sex, who's not getting it and wants to put it out on TV every 5 minutes?
This is a family show.
Absolutely shocking.
It's a family show. I didn't want to hear that.
Really?
No.
Well, at least my timing was better than yours.
OK, I've had the verdict.
Hey?
I've had the verdict
already.
What
do you mean? Oh, look at his little face. Look at his little face.
I've had the verdict.
What?
The winner! The Porkmeister!
How can you win that? How can you win that as an Everton supporting producer of yours?
No, it's not.
Well, that makes it 16-9.
Mine was a practical insight into modern day life.
No,
yours was just a rambling moan about
yours
nothing.
was, as usual, just all about you.
Well, you know.
So, I mean, here's a snapshot of Porky's life, right?
Yes.
He wakes up at 4 o'clock in the morning with the dry heaves because he's been out too late the night before.
No.
He then decides to get up and go shopping, right?
Yes, that's
so
right.
he goes and buys 2 slabs of butter, some Richmond sausages, some previously cut up broccoli, cauliflower, and what was it? Carrots.
Carrots and peas.
Carrots and peas. He then lobs one yoghurt in there as well. Yeah. He then gets to wait behind a woman for half an hour because she's actually got a family that she's shopping for.
Terrible.
And she's decided that she wants to go early enough so that she can beat the crowds.
Yeah.
He doesn't use the self-shopping checkout because he doesn't like doing that kind of thing. And then he comes into work on a train which takes 45 minutes to go about a mile.
Terrible. Oh, shocking.
Your
It's shocking
life
start
is a
to the day.
disgrace. Your
shocking
life
start to the day.
is beginning to fall apart.
Well, it's not. It's just that life around me is falling apart. I'm keeping a grip.
Are you?
Don't you worry about that.
Okay. Here's one from White. She says, Porky, you should buy the baguettes that match your ideas. Half-baked.
I quite like that, actually.
Yeah.
Have you ever done those? Have you ever taken those half-baked bread rolls home and they take them out of thick plastic and then put them in the oven?
No.
They just turn out to be very crispy and horrible.
Yeah, I mean, also the dough that they use is really not for me. It's kind of almost like that non-existent sort of artificial dough.
It's very questionable, isn't
Marky
it?
says this, it's only a matter of time before Porky self-checks out permanently.
Yes.
Eh?
Yes. What do you mean?
Well, do you not know what that means?
Well, I mean, somebody's trying to insinuate there they'd like me to drop dead because of my faulty heart. That's very nice, isn't it?
I don't think so. I think it's more to do with your mental state, to be honest.
It's to do with my mental state.
Gaz says, so in summary, Porky's moan is about empty supermarkets in the middle of the night.
Hey? Empty supermarkets in the middle of the night?
Yeah.
Are you mad?
Yeah, well, that seems to be what the scenario is.
Yes, right. Now, you know these lists that keep popping up. I don't know why, but there's more and more lists coming up.
Do you know why they keep popping up? Because it's cheap journalism.
Oh, I suppose it is,
Because somebody sends you a list, right, and you're sitting in a newspaper office and you're going, well, I can't go anywhere because we haven't got any money.
Yeah.
I can't convince the news desk to send me out on any stories because they won't pay for it.
Yeah.
So I'll just rewrite a load of lists.
I think you're right. And then what's happened is that's backed into PR companies who now realise to get our client's name in the paper, we'll have a survey.
The last one that you did, which was absolutely hopeless, by the way, the one about the musicians, right?
That's right,
which was done by Green King.
That's right.
So Green King get a name check.
That's right, yeah. But anyway, listen, the top 10 most popular evening meals in Britain.
Top 10 most popular evening meals.
Yeah, and this has been voted on. So
voted on by who? Are these also Green King drinkers?
No, I'll tell you what, it's a restaurant chain, but should we not mention them?
I don't think we should.
We won't mention them, okay.
No.
But they have...
Is it a restaurant chain that you've eaten in?
No, it's not, actually.
Oh.
No. In fact... Utke Ristorante.
What?
Utke Ristorante.
Utke?
Utke, O-E-T-K-E-R. Utke Ristorante.
Never heard of them.
Anyway, listen. So this is a proper survey. They've gone around, asked people and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
What do you think is the most popular evening meal in Britain as of now?
I would say, is it to be cooked?
They're all cooked.
So, I mean, it's one you cook yourself.
It's one you cook yourself.
I would say spaghetti bolognese.
That is absolutely right.
There you go.
How did you get that right?
Well, I'm very good at these things.
Yeah, it is. Number one.
It's the sort of thing everybody cooks.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, even you cook spaghetti bolognese.
Yeah, I do.
You don't really cook very often.
Okay, I'll give you the list anyway.
Yeah,
1 spaghetti bolognese, 2 pizza. Now, pizza's very much ordered in, really, isn't it? Not many people
make their own.
I can't stand pizzas from supermarkets because I just think they're cardboardy, and I like the fresh pizza to come out of the boiling hot oven in the on Domino's and all that, and then take it home.
Okay.
Right, number 3 is still the roast dinner. I'm delighted to say.
Is it? See, I would say that's because probably one of the few meals that people do still cook is a Sunday roast.
Yes, that's right. I agree. 4 is curry. I'm all with that. That's no problem at all. But you said you don't like takeaway curry anymore, do you?
Well, no, I cook it. I prefer to cook my own.
Okay, that's fair enough. Now, 5th is the baked potato.
See, I've never been a baked potato
Neither
fan.
have I, because I've always found baked potatoes either nice and soft inside or hard inside. You can't get consistency.
Have you ever been to those baked potato places like Spud You Like they used to be? I don't know if they're still around. I haven't seen them for a long time.
No, I haven't. And I don't buy those from supermarkets either, the pre-prepared baked potatoes.
I know what a baked potato used to be. I remember when we used to be at the Express and you'd go over to one of the wine bars for lunch or whatever it was, and the women quite often liked to get a baked potato.
Right, okay.
Because it was quite good and it wasn't expensive and,
it didn't fill them up.
Didn't fill them up too much.
Right,
and it was, relatively good for their diet.
The best part of a potato, in my mind, is the skin.
You like the skin?
Yeah, and by the time you've eaten the baked potato and the skin, it's too much.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just eat the skin usually and they leave the stuff in them.
You get potato skins?
You get potato skins. I eat those all the time. I like potato skins in pubs, particularly when they've got cheese and ham on them. Yeah? What's your problem?
Nothing.
Right.
So I was just asking about why don't you just have a smaller potato?
Yeah, smaller potato. That's a good idea, yeah. Right, now then we've got fish and chips, which I did have yesterday, by the way.
Yeah, but you don't make it, though, do you?
At home, I do, yes.
No, you don't.
Well, I have the fish and the peas, but no chips.
Right. Why don't you get a chip pan?
I don't want a chip pan. If I wanted chips, I would get some canned frozen chips, like
well, there's nothing wrong with those.
No, there's nothing wrong with them at all.
We have frozen chips sometimes.
Yeah, good, exactly.
We're having like a barbecue.
That's
put a few frozen chips in the oven.
Now, one here which you may try in your culinary experiment, a stir-fry.
Stir-fry, yes.
You like a stir-fry?
I do like an occasional stir-fry.
What do you do, like strips of chicken and that kind of stuff?
You can do chicken, you can do beef, you can make anything you like. You do a vegetarian one, if you wish.
Now here's one.
Bean sprouts.
Yes, okay, that's fine. Now, here's one here which I'm a big favourite of, sausage and mash.
Sausage and mash, yeah.
And I get
one
the
of my
mash
son's
now.
favourite meals, actually.
Is it? Okay, lovely.
As long as it's not those awful Richmond sausages that you buy.
Now, where do you get your mash from?
What do you mean? Where do I get the mash from?
Where do you get the mash from?
Well, you mash the potatoes.
Oh, right, okay. So you don't buy
I don't buy mash.
You can in a black container with plastic over it. And
I know.
I've started doing that because it's very good.
Why don't you just buy potatoes and mash them?
The problem is, because I've never used my microwave and feel now it might blow up if I did.
You've never used it?
No, I've never used it.
How long have you had it?
How long have I been there? About 12 years. Yeah. And so I'm frightened now.
Why have you never used it?
I just didn't like it. Years ago when they first...
time, by the way.
No, years ago when they first came in, you always knew whether you were being given a pie in a pub that come out of a microwave because it was so hot you couldn't eat it for 35 minutes.
And you also had those burn marks.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So
when you wake up the next morning.
I just thought I'd better buy one because everybody had one, but I've never actually used it. And I think now it might be so old, if I switched it on, it might blow up.
Well, I mean, I think you might get Legionnaire's disease from it.
Yeah, it might do. Anyway, the last two, sandwiches, which I like. I love
sandwiches.
I love a barm cake, with a bit of corned beef in it.
Yeah.
And the last one, burgers.
Burgers.
Yeah. There you go.
Well, I mean, that'll be this weekend. People will be eating a lot of burgers.
Of course they will.
Barbecue weather.
Yeah.
Have a very nice weekend, Mr. Parry. I will see you on
yourself.
Monday.
Will do.
Around about 8 o'clock.
Yeah, that's right.
Don't drink too much.
No.
Don't get too burnt in the heat.
Well, you know our motto, bladderation, but only in
moderation.
Moderation.
Obviously. This is Talk Sport.
On DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM. The warm-up with the two mics on Talk Sport.
Disastrous.